Welcome to the Counterculture Counterattack. Welcome to the RazörForce Offensive. I am your intrepid host, Femboy Fist, alongside the Loon Troon, Taryn Gell. How the hell are you, sir?
How dare you?
Dare you! And shortly, we may be joined by the double-masked tactical hobo, we'll call him today. Folks, it is time for the RazörForce Offensive, and of course, in the immortal words of Nick DiPaolo, one fine Nick DiPaolo, it is another senseless killing. There was yet another, what are they calling it now? Mass casualty event? Whatever, I call pronoun person pew-pew event, whatever you want to call it. And this time it took place in British Columbia. When did you first hear about this, Taryn?
Just yesterday, actually. No, it was a couple of days ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And just the reaction to it is unbelievable coming from the mainstream media.
Oh, lunacy, to say nothing of the Canadian political establishment, but we'll talk about that in a moment. Do you have that article pulled up, by the way, so we can actually read it and kind of assess the damage real quick?
Yes, sir.
All right. Mass shooting leaves 10 dead and suspect identified as transgender, which right after the shooting happened, like, we still didn't really know any of that stuff. So you notice this. Whose ironclad rule is it? I know Ann Coulter takes credit for it, but she takes a lot of things up to it, including the black cock of unfunny comedians. But I don't think she actually invented it. The idea that if you don't know the identity of the shooter within like 24 hours, it's probably a protected minority class of some kind, in this case, a pronoun person. So anyways, could go ahead and scroll down.
Authorities report that 9 victims...
We knew, but hold on. Before you do, let me say, codename Double L7. We knew, but we weren't told. How many such cases, bro? How many such cases? Anyway, continue.
Authorities report that 9 victims and the shooter, identified as a transgender youth, are dead after a mass shooting at a Canadian school. Let's see.
Now, it's a normal public school, correct?
Oh, God, I don't fucking know. A transgender teenager has killed 10 and injured 25. My God. Tumbler Ridge, British Columbia, Canada. Jesse Strang, 17, began to identify as a woman in 2023. 6 victims were found dead inside Tumbler Ridge Secondary School. This is sounding like a public school. And then died on the way to the hospital. Good
Secondary
Lord.
School is what? Is that high school for you guys out there in Canada? I know we have many Canadian members of the RazörForce.
Shooter was reportedly a mentally ill male, identified as trans and pretended to be a girl. Police didn't want to offend him by misgendering him, so they called him a gun person.
I did see that. And in fact, shoot, there's the video. Yep. I think I even listed that. You want to go ahead and play that? This is how delicately they snapped their fingers and danced around the shit lib lambada hat in order to kowtow to political correctness in the aftermath of this shooting. Look, this must be said before we go on. Violence is never politically correct, even defensive violence. Right? So the more you refuse to engage with violence on a politically incorrect level, the more incapable and neutered you become in any attempt to redress it. But of course, they don't want to redress it. They want more violence like this, because every single time it happens, gun control is one of those things where the more it fails, the more of it you pass. Right? It's an unfalsifiable premise. Oh, well, if gun control didn't work this time, well, shit, let's pass 20 more gun control bills. Maybe it'll work even better last time. Look at Australia. Look at what happened in Australia very, very recently. They had been hoisted up for how many years? Every single gun control debate I've been in the last 15 years. I did a gun control debate on the Drunken Peasants against Paul Zigo. I remember that. Didn't go well for him. Not a good week for you. But he used Australia as an example. Everyone who argues in favor of gun control always uses Australia as an example. How's that looking for you? How's that looking for you? Go ahead and continue.
That includes the deceased gun person.
Okay. And then separately, do you know the gun person's relationship to the...
Okay. Apparently that was it.
Yes, listen, play it again.
Oh.
Did you not catch it?
That includes the deceased gun person.
Okay.
Gun person!
And then separately,
Yep.
do you know the gun person's relationship
person?
to...
Not that I oppose a person made of guns. I have to say this. So we don't want to defame people who might be constructed of literal firearms, especially cool turn of the century ones. Scroll down.
Yep. Tumblr's secondary school in British Columbia confirm.
We've gotten two different ages. Did you notice that? One said they were 17, another said they were 18.
Huh, that is strange.
Oh.
Probably just mixed up.
We should settle that. It's probably very important to Leo DiCaprio. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police issued an alert for an active shooter late Tuesday following gunshots at the school, and the report said when officers obtained entry to the building, they found 6 victims dead. 2 more victims were found. I'd like to know the response time on that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Whenever I hear something like this, especially ever since that, it's still nauseating to me, that Uvalde shooting, where they were just chilling outside, you know, freaking gunshots are going off. They're just kind of, oh, whatever. Hey, you got some Dunkin' Donuts there? Let's just chill. Oh, infuriating. Go ahead.
Let's see. When officers obtained entry to the building, they found 6 victims dead. 2 more victims were found at another location, a home apparently near the school property, and another victim died on the way to the hospital. So this person, he went to a fucking house that was just near the school and shot people?
His home, I believe he killed his mother. I believe,
Right.
Yeah, I think he killed his.
Amazing.
It was the old, well, shoot, who's the first real contemporary school shooter? Is Kip Kinkle. How did Kip Kinkle's massacre start? Do you know?
Didn't he kill his mother in her bed or something like
Yeah,
that?
he was hearing voices. He was going batshit. He wound up killing his dad and his mom, and then he went to school and murdered a bunch of people. It was like turned into a rampage. So that not actually uncommon, really. This is very much in keeping with the genre, as it were. By the way, Kip Kinkle still alive. If anyone in the media gave a shit about what motivates these nutjobs to do this, you could go interview them. But they don't.
An
He
individual
was pre-Columbine, by the way.
An individual believed to be the shooter was also found dead with what appears to be a self-inflicted injury. The report said some 25 more were treated for non-life-threatening injuries. Authorities did not immediately release the identity of the dead suspect, but news organizations on social media promptly identified him as Jesse Strang, described as a teen boy dressed as a girl.
Yep. Teen boy. And that's literally the description. It's lovely to have all these politically correct notions, but when bullets start flying, isn't it amazing how the man with a gun turns into a black guy in about 15 seconds over the phone with 911? You know what I mean? When seconds actually count, suddenly political correctness goes out the window. Oh, it's a dude dressed as a chick, bro. It's a member of Motley Crue circa 1983.
Nina Krieger, British Columbia's Minister of Public Safety and Solicitor General, said the shockwaves of this horrific
Hold
event...
on a second. Can you look this up? CBC, Canadian Broadcasting, used AI to make him look more feminine in a photo during a report they did.
Oh, really?
Can you find that maybe on Twitter?
Yeah, give me a second.
Why
don't you read?
I'll continue reading this.
Yeah.
Where were you at? You're in Nina Krieger, BC's Minister of Public Safety and Solicitor General, said the shockwaves of this horrific event will continue to reverberate throughout the community and through the country for some time. Tumbler Ridge is in northeastern British Columbia, south of Chetwynd, about 65 miles west of the Alberta British Columbia border. Government sources said there were about 175 students in grades 7 through 12 in the school. Yeah, so this is one of those junior high school through high school kind of schools. We have a few of those here in Arizona. Let's see here. The report said Tuesday's shooting was the deadliest attack connected to a Canadian school in nearly 40 years. More than 24 people were shot during the École Polytechnique. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of that. Massacre in Montreal on December 6th, 1989, killing 14 women before the gunman took his own life. Many such cases. Hey, if you guys could go ahead and put a gun in your mouth without putting it in the faces of a bunch of strangers, that'd be great. Sorry, I need my mug. That'd be great. Okay. Then on January 22nd, 2016, 4 people were killed and 7 others injured. I remember that in a shooting spree in the remote Diné community of La Loche. A student who was 17 at the time pled guilty to charges for the shooting. Gun restrictions in Canada are more severe than in the United States, you don't say. As ownership is regulated by the national government and weapons must be kept unloaded and locked, there are severe criminal penalties for anyone handling a gun in an unsafe manner or having one without a license. Hundreds of models of guns simply are banned. You know what I kind of want to do before we move completely off this?
What's that?
I want to ask, open up a window with Grok and ask him specifically what are the gun control regulations in Canada, just to get an idea of everything that failed here. Absolutely every. Take note, gun control shills. This shooting took place in British Columbia. Never mind owning a gun. I'm pretty sure I get arrested if I watch the show Gunsmoke in that shithole. Like, you cannot even think about owning a gun. You can have it for hunting purposes in certain areas, like in Calgary. I know they still have kind of a gun culture a little bit, but it's very much, please, daddy government, can I use this to shoot an overpopulated deer?
I did actually find it.
All right.
Here we go. It was City News.
Gosh, dude.
Let's get a closer look at that. That's the altered photo. And this is the actual photo.
They're giving them freaking Instagram filters, bro.
Yep.
They're putting Instagram filters on mass shooters. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? And that's not even the most alarming aspect. Have you heard some of the things, some of the superhero origin story that's already being reported thus far? Hello?
Sorry, what was that?
Are you here? Have you heard some of the super villain origin story on this one? Like how their whole background in becoming a pronoun person?
No, I didn't actually. I just heard about the shooting and basically how people were covering it. I hadn't actually heard about any origin story.
So Mother of the Year had a lot to do. You know, you don't want to speak ill of the dead, obviously, because they were definitely killed by the gunman, and it's a gunman, for Christ's sake. But basically, they indulged them. They didn't, like anyone, they didn't want to be seen as anathema. They didn't want to be seen as someone who was going to confront somebody who simply identified this way. And so who knew indulging the mentally ill could have such deleterious effects? I know when I start playing along with a schizo, pretending to talk with his imaginary friend, for example, it always and inevitably ends in him being of sound mind and body, right? For crying out loud. That's kind of what happened here, is basically this person was indulged. Hey, let's fire hormones at him from a cannon. Here we go. What's this?
That's the I believe you gave me this link. Same guy calling this a shooter person.
Yep.
Or whatever. Mass high school shooting today in BC, Canada, where at least 10 are dead, 25 injured. Word on the street.
Did the mainstream media, is that accurate? Did the mainstream media initially report it as a female shooter?
I don't have that.
Yeah, I wonder.
Moved here a few months ago. Young man
dressed up as a girl. There you go.
Killed his mom, kid brother, and sister, then decided he was going to go to high school to make a scene. This is such a tragedy. Hope every parent learns from this tragedy. And I give my prayers. What else we got here? I live 4 doors down the road from the suspect's house. Born male turned girl, shot and killed her mom and brother, then killed 7 at the school.
So not only did we indulge mental illness until this person always and inevitably snaps, but we're continuing to indulge the mental illness, aren't we? We're calling them gun person. We're respecting the pronouns of someone who used those pronouns basically as a shield to wind up murdering people. That's where we are. That's where we are. That's 2026. Is that not the most pristine 2026 thing you've ever heard? Yep. The emergency alert was more concerned with using woke language than giving citizens an accurate description of what the attacker looked like.
Oh, but it gets worse, doesn't it? It always does.
Yeah.
Let's go to Canada's quote-unquote leader.
Oh, yes!
And see what he had to say. This is Mark Carney, the Prime Minister of Canada.
The aptly named Carney, yes.
It's obviously a very difficult day for the nation. This morning, parents, grandparents, sisters, brothers in Tumbler Ridge will wake up without someone they love. The nation mourns with you. Canada stands by you. I want to thank and pass on a number of world leaders who've reached out directly to me in solidarity and compassion. Friends, the kingdom, His Majesty himself, Norway, Finland, India, United Arab Emirates, many others. Is with you. I have spoken to Premier Eby. Minister of Public Safety has been engaged.
Who's doing a bang-up job.
Officials over the evening. Minister of Public Safety is en route to British Columbia. He and the Premier will be visiting the community. All assistance, obviously, will be offered. We thank the first responders, the teachers, the staff, the residents, for everything that they've done in this terrible situation. On the advice of the Clerk of the Privy Council and Heritage Canada, I've asked that the flags in the Peace Tower here and across all government buildings be flown at half-mast for the next 7 days. We will get through this. We will learn from this. But right now, it's
no, you won't.
Together, as Canadians always do, in these situations, these terrible situations.
Pause.
Support each other.
Outside this headquarters is the trans flag.
Yep.
The trans flag will fly at half-mast. Probably the first and only time a troon shooter's ever had anyone at half-mast. Let's be real. Said on Twitter, for medical accuracy, shouldn't we just cut the flagpole down? And that would actually scratch that. Fetch us a rope. We'll hang the next shooter at half-mast. How about that, asshole?
So he talks about, we will learn from this. In the next couple of days, I predict them learning from this will be something comparable to confiscating every gun in the nation.
Oh, dude, 100%. And they'll make unpersoning a trans person, like they'll make that some kind of national crime. They'll revoke your citizenship. Like, seriously, bro. It'll be a federal crime to use the wrong pronouns. Tell you what, I don't know what the proper pronouns were, but I know the proper indicative is was, were. Suck my dick. No more hunting. There you go. Papa Giorgio. Thank you, sir. Here we go. Zedekiah, a college professor who's gone on more than one rant about how things like Groundhog Day, saying bless you when someone sneezes, and other superstitions are a major contributing factor in Americans being uneducated. I think your college professor is a big indicator of Americans being uneducated.
Spike over on Rumble. I heard the Canadian police wanted to respect the shooter's pronouns. They gone. It is.
Well, those aren't pronouns. Those are indicatives, sir.
Oh.
Well, one of them is a pronoun. Good evening, gentlemen. Let's get this out of the road. Spider Noir looks good. Bad, or was Nick Cage stoned when he signed up for this? It seems okay. It seems like a student film is what it seems like.
Honestly, look, I hate to say it. I think Nick is getting a little up there. He's maybe a bit too old now for a kind of role like this.
Oh, for like being a superhero of some kind?
Yeah.
If it was an actual noir, if he was just going to play some grizzled detective or something, that'd be one thing. But he's going to run around in a damn outfit and do Spider-Man shit? What?
Yep.
I don't understand that at all.
Well, his CG double will, anyway.
Right. Reynolds C2Z. Do you believe Clifford Gage was a real person, or was he a persona created by Kent Allard? He's talking about a character, an alter ego, one of the many alter egos of the Shadow in the pulps, because, you know, most people think it's Lamont Cranston is the Shadow. He's actually got a bunch of different. He was like Clarendon at one point, and he's so Clifford Gage is one of those. It has to be a real person. It has to be a real person because in context in several of the stories, there are characters who know who Clifford Gage is already. And it's clear that he has a backstory. So I think it's kind of like with Lamont Cranston, where he assumes his identity. I also love that about the Shadow. He literally just straight up commits identity theft, like literally wears their face. And then when they confront him about it, he's like, all right, what are you going to do? You going to go to the authorities? It's like, yeah, I'm going to go to the authorities. He's like, okay, what's your mother's maiden name? They're like, I don't think she ever told me. It's Gladys. You know what I mean? Like, he answers a bunch of questions they can never answer. He's like, trust me, if it comes between you and me, the authorities are going to pick me. Just love that. The Shadow's a complete bastard. Just a complete bastard. All right, let's see here. Disciple of Rock. Trump messaging lately sucks, but I'm getting tired of the Massey goons. Mitchell? I don't know. Excusing Massey. Oh, of everything but dragging T money over everything. I mean, we're going to talk in a moment. Massey ultimately came back into the corral to vote for the SAVE Act, but boy, he made sure he was grandstanding before he did it. This is the thing that I don't like about him. It's not so much the voting record, although he does break with Trump quite a bit. It's more so that he's got to beat his chest and be an obnoxious little shit about it every single time. You could differ with Trump, but it's like he's built his entire brand on being a whiny lib. That's the thing that I find most off-putting. I don't know if you have any thoughts about that, Taryn.
About Massey, honestly, I don't pay attention to the man. I mean, I'm completely burned out on him. Both him and Rand Paul.
I mean, he's only gotten one bill passed, and it was a Democrat bill. You know, like, he's not actually of that much political consequence. I think he's sort of being used as a rallying point for a lot of people who just want to bitch about Trump.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a divide and conquer strategy going, some of which is organic, most of which is inorganic, I believe. We saw it ramp up, by the way. I would be less skeptical of this if I hadn't watched it already. This happened in 2022. Like, how short is your memory, guys? This happened after the 2022 midterms. What happened to the red wave? What happened to the red wave? Oh my God, look, Trump has failed. Look, he's costing Republicans all these elections. Guys, this narrative, we're going to see it wrote top to bottom. It's going to be mimeographed from 2022. We saw it after 2020. This has been a long-standing psyop. So am I calling this a psyop? Am I being paranoid by calling it out as a psyop? No, I'm recognizing a pattern. And it's pretty alarming how many podcasters who claim to be able to actually recognize these patterns can't seem to get their big boy pants on and call this one out as one. Again, that doesn't mean that all of the dissatisfaction with Trump is inorganic. It's just, you're never going to vote for Trump again, guys. He's not up for election. This midterm has more to do with the GOP. The state of the country can hurt the GOP a little bit, but I don't even think it's the main factor. Actually, you know what? Before we move off of this, like, going into the midterms, how big a factor do you even think Trump is? Like, if you could put a percentage point on it out of 100, how much of a factor is Trump himself, someone who's not even on the ballot, going to be in the midterms?
If he's actually there, like say he actually goes to a state and stands next to them and campaigns with them, then I would say a great deal, a sizable chunk. I'd say 30%-ish.
If midterms go well for Republicans, in some recent polls, I don't know if you want to look those up real quick so we could talk about them, but I've seen a number of recent polls where Republicans suddenly are rebounding by 10, 12 points or something heading into midterms. I don't know what that is. Those are probably outliers, like, let's be honest. But if Republicans do well in the midterms, I still don't think it has that much to do with Trump. I think the most Trump can really do is stay on message, keep his administration together, and sort of roll out the red carpet in the midterms to give the Republicans the best chance to pull it out. We've said this again and again and again. Republicans run consistently 10 to 15 points behind Trump. The dead weight here is not Trump. It's the Republicans. And this is something that we need to confront, and it's an ugly reality we need to confront right now, because we'll never vote for Trump again. He's not going to save your ass again, okay? You're not going to get another Trump. The best we can hope for is a Vance. We can hope maybe DeSantis figured things out. We got two decent candidates there. I wouldn't mind voting for either one, but neither of them is Trump, admittedly, like in terms of brand recognition, in terms of popularity. This party going forward, I think a lot of this divide and conquer strategy is intended to set the stage for, let's turn the page on Trump. Let's go back to business as usual in the Republican Party. And you can fancy yourself some kind of dissident by supporting Massey and all of this shit. But I think your dissatisfaction with Trump is going to be used as the wedge in the door to return the GOP to the McCain status quo. And I hope someone sincerely quotes me on that, because that is the strategy that I am witnessing happen right now. It is business as usual masquerading as the dissident right. Speaking of which,
so you
thoughts on Barris and Barnes. Hold on. Welcome, sir, the double mastactical hobo.
Greetings and salutations.
Did you have any thoughts on that? I don't know if you heard all that we were talking about there.
Oh, what was that?
Heading in the midterms, how big, like if you had to put a percentage point out of 100 on how big of a factor Trump is even going to play in the midterms in terms of Republicans or Democrats gaining or retaining control of the House, how much of a percentage would you think Trump is going to have?
I think he'll probably have more impact with the Democrats because they still have severe TDS and they haven't even begun to start getting the cure for it.
They're not interested in a cure, bro.
In fact, it's worse than ever right now.
No, not at all. Not at all. Do you have anything to say actually about the Troon shooting before we completely back away from that? That's the story we opened up with in Canada. Once again, I know you're shocked, Tactical Hobo, but draconian gun control laws once again failed to stop a mass shooting.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm always told that it only happens in the U.S., but we've seen many examples over the years where it's happened in other countries. So,
Isn't it wild? And of course, I did a whole rant on this years ago of school shooters and Fabergé eggs. If you actually care what the real psychological underpinning of a mass shooter is, I think it's a little closer to my formulation in that video, where I think it has more to do. The uptick is really just a style of parenting coupled with real world factors like all of the dissatisfaction people. Like, there's a reason a lot of these shooters are late high school, early college age. They're just about to get out of or go into college rather. Some of them just about to get out of college and expecting to have all of the world, fall at their feet and have all kinds of jobs and whatever. And so you have all these pressures that mount on them, a lot of entitlement because of hover parenting and being treated like a Fabergé egg their whole life. And then they sort of have to leave this little fairy bubble that is public school, and they go out into the real world and they just shatter. I think that is a factor. It's not every single one, but I think that might also be why the pronoun people are so involved in this right now, because who's in more of a fairy bubble than somebody whose own parents, own family, all their teachers are pretending that they have tits and a vagina when they don't. Like, everyone's literally playing pretend with them. They've never had to confront reality for even a moment. They never had to go out there and do that. And so when they come into contact with that harsh reality, it destroys. They either change everything about the way they behave, and gosh, the character that it takes for the people who have detransitioned and been very honest about it, I can't praise them enough, because it takes such stunning character. But it's either that, or they completely self-destruct and collapse into their own. They die with their fantasies. Any thoughts on that, guys?
Well, we're always told that, like, we always are told that, yeah, like, if we don't indulge trans people in whatever you want to call them, right? If we wouldn't indulge these people in their fantasies, then they're going to, like, kill themselves and possibly go and kill other people. It's like, well, even if you do indulge them, they still seem to do that. In fact, it's worse the more you seem to indulge them, because back in the 50s, when everyone was freaking repressed, we didn't have mass shootings all the time like this, did we?
No.
So,
I mean, one of the first big mass shootings was Charles Whitman, the Texas bell tower sniper that everybody knows. But that was a unique case. He had a brain tumor. They think he was hearing voices. Like, he just went crazy, is basically what happened. He went absolutely crazy. And by the way, it was a bunch of gun-toting Texans who were able to pin him down on one side of the tower so the police could go up the opposite side and kill him. Right? It was people who were actually allowed to retain their self-defense rights. I mean, literally, he's raining down gunfire on people down Main Street in, I think it's Austin, right? And this is back before Austin became what it is today. And as the bullets are flying past, it's like, what the hell? Somebody's shooting at me. They're like running out to their cars just to grab their rifles and shit. Because it was still Texas back then. It was the 1950s, I think, when that happened. So an interesting case to talk about. I actually would like to do maybe a full video on that someday. But I was about to read this one. Jack White, thoughts on Barris and Barnes pointing out that Ro Khanna and other Dems are using the Epstein files to force out the establishment neoliberals to get the Democratic Party back to its roots. Do you think this will work? So in other words, using it against the Clintons. We're going to talk about the Clintons a little bit later, but using it against the Clintons. Oh, look, Epstein was a big funder of the big Clinton machine, the Schumers, the Pelosi's, and all of them went and visited the island and whatever. I think that's actually a good read, honestly. That's probably true. The Democratic Party, if you've been inside the Democratic Party and actually wanted them to win in the future, you had to just be pulling out your hair the last 10 years. Just thinking, like, when are we going to get a clue? Like, you can't run on these crazy issues. It's not going to be possible. The problem, of course, is I see it actually as being more likely that the Democrats would go even farther left after they purge those people. Because more than once, those people, as loony as they are, have proved a moderating influence against the most destructive impulses of the socialistic left. And once they're gone, dude, the lunatics officially run the asylum. There's just no saving it. Taryn, Tactical Hobo, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, like, they have to go so far left that their ideology completely explodes. And we're not there yet. We're not even close to being there yet.
I agree. I don't think we're even close to the precipice, bro. I think they can go even farther, which is good news for Republicans for the next few election cycles. It at least gives you a chance. Only the Republicans can fuck this up. Only the Republicans can. The table is set. You know what I mean? They've got a much
never do that.
Right. They've got a much deeper bench than Democrats do. Trump has set the table for them 3 times, and they fucked it up 3 times. You know what I mean? They've been backstabbing him the entire time. Just, the Azure Nightmare. Oh yes, we had the Super Bowl, didn't we? Just thought I'd remind all of you because no one seems to remember.
The Super Bowl.
Right.
The Super Bowl. Everyone's watching the Super Bowl.
The Super Bowl. I'm going to chase a ball around on a field. So if nobody cares about sports ball anymore, do we just gravitate more towards video? The answer is yes. Dude, did you see the reaction? We're going to talk in a minute about it to freaking a new Diablo expansion. Like, what the hell? I mean, that right there tells you how much bigger of an event video games have become. Also, Razor, what's your favorite Nintendo game these days? Mainline Nintendo. It doesn't have to be recent. I have been. So you're talking about first party Nintendo. Obviously, I did a review of Donkey Kong Bonanza late last year, and I loved that game. Like, that game is just the tits. It's fantastic. But lately, I've been playing a game on my Switch. That thank you to the RazörForce for letting me know. So I was a big fan of Super Turbo HD Remix, Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix back in the day. And it was on Xbox 360. The comic company Udon redrew all the sprites, beautiful heavy metal remix music, remix gameplay a little bit, but it's Super Turbo, the classic tournament version of Street Fighter 2, even to this day, still the best. They redid it. And then they never re-released it again. Well, I guess they made this game Ultra Street Fighter 2 something. Anyway, it's like Ultra Street Fighter 2, I want to say is what it's called. The Final Challengers. And it's exclusive to Switch, but it uses a lot of the same assets. Like, it's all the redrawn sprites. It's in HD. It's beautiful. It's got the remixed music. But they kind of adjusted the gameplay and gave it online multiplayer. Anyway, I've been wearing that thing out for the last week and a half. Every night before I go to bed, it's been my Zen game. I've been playing it online and already ranking up and shit. So it's a lot of fun. Those would be mine. Either of you got any Nintendo games that would be yours?
Ooh. Would it have to be recent?
Hobo's a pure PC elitist, like I usually am.
Well, I used to have I had an N64 and a
Yeah,
Super.
you did?
Yeah. I always liked Mario Kart as far as just Nintendo games. Yeah. Donkey
I've been
Kong.
playing Mario Kart World, which, man, people hate that game. I love it. I played the shit out of it. I think that game's great. But people are really pissed at Mario Kart World for some reason. Taryn?
I did enjoy Hyrule Warriors quite a bit. I haven't been able to have any time to play on my Switch recently, but
yeah,
last thing I played was Hyrule Warriors. Now that
I gave it back to you because I finally
yeah.
beat it. I finally beat that game, which is awesome, by the way. I haven't played Hyrule Warriors 2.
And there's a third one coming.
Yeah, I also have Fire Emblem Warriors, which is freaking fantastic. But anyways, Elaine BC, I don't know. The incident taking place on Tumbler Ridge, just take the E out of Tumbler Ridge and it makes a lot more sense, is such a coincidence. Did you see the thread BX posted of her, Bex posted of her research into the person? Yes, I follow her and she does great work on mass shooters, accelerationists, these Troon shooters and stuff. If you have not followed her on Twitter, she kicks ass at that. And she's way more informed than a lot of the people who pinch her research and regurgitate it. Like Tim Pool's done it a bunch of times, just stolen her research outright and tried to pass it off as his own shit. People do that all the time to her, but she's really good. And she's paid the price for it, man. I've talked to her privately about how crazy, stalkers and all kinds. She's gotten satanic cult death threats and stuff. She's doing the real work out on the front line. So shout out to her. Go follow her if you haven't. You guys get to joke about this, but I'm stuck here, I assume, in Canada, and I hate it. I feel more American after every RazörFest stream. Good. You're coming along nicely.
You can always move to the middle of the Yukon and just disappear.
Right. You do have your own kind of frontier west. The Yukon is just where people go, basically to flee delinquent child support payments and shit.
Well, most of Canada is just wilderness, honestly. It's almost almost everyone lives right near the U.S. border.
Yeah.
That map of just where Canada Canadians actually live, and it's right there on the border.
Yeah. Grant, Canada's the type of shithole in Hearts of Iron 4 that you puppet and claim resources from instead of annexing. I'm just autistic enough to get that reference. Thoughts on the Max? The comic and the HBO series, I never got into either of them, really. It's not my style. Either of you?
Yeah, back in the day, you know, them good old days. I used to watch Liquid Television and a lot of those shows, Ian Flux, the Max,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of those. And yeah, I enjoyed it a lot.
Albertan Revolutionary War, when it may be the American Albertan Liberation War at this rate, for crying out. We may have to go in like the U.S. Marshals. Melodious, howdy, just had my birthday. Godspeed. Someone else I know has the same birthday. It's too bad I had to share my cake with Abraham Lincoln, right? I always make fun of them over that. No respect, I tell you, no respect. Fantastic. All right. And the irony is that his mother, whom he shot first, was all about the trans kids shit. Never did she think, did she? You know, guys, RazörForce, there is a Charlie Kirk tweet for everything. You guys, do you know what I'm talking about here?
I might have seen it retweeted a couple of times.
Yeah. If you have it was something to the effect of, if you have a trans adult, you might have a trans adult. If you have a trans kid, right, what you really have is a propagandist mother or father. It's something to that effect. But it really is. It's like they've essentially been reared in an environment where they kind of were turned into that. Very much a nurture versus nature situation. And we've all seen that, dude. We've all seen, look at freaking Megan Fox's kids. Yeah. They're all miraculously pronoun people before they even reach sexual maturity. Does that make any sense?
3 boys decided that they all wanted to be girls.
Yeah,
Isn't that interesting? It's
or gosh, look at
they were groomed.
Yeah. Or gosh, look at the Wachowski brothers, huh? Gosh, I wonder what their relationship with their father was like. I wonder.
I know what their relationship with drugs was like.
Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of drugs, we need to see a toxicology report of all of these mass shooters, regardless of if they're trans or not or whatever. That's what we need, because guarantee they're all on all sorts of shit, man.
Oh yeah, psychotropics, depression meds, hormones. You put that cocktail in you, please. I mean, think of it this way. Okay, we're about to head into Lenten season in the church, so I've been like practicing fasting a couple of times a week, and dude, just by not having food for 15, 16, 17 hours, I get cranky, right? You put a bunch of chemicals in your body now. You know what I mean? Like, you can't constantly be altering your body chemistry in that radical of a manner and expect for your mood to remain level. You just can't, whether it's an absence of chemicals or a preponderance of them. Godspeed, gentlemen. Elam Garrick says, as an Albertan man, I feel stuck. I have the skills and funds to leave this country, but that feels wrong. Our political system isn't something you can fix from the inside. What does Dr. Razor and Nurse Gell prescribe? That's tough. I'm not a Canadian patriot. I'll say this. There were a few years there where Arizona was going so heavily in the wrong direction. I was like, oh man, should I be looking at places outside? Should I be, and I looked at houses and whatever, but ultimately I decided, you know what, you can affect it from within. I know some people in politics out there. I've done some stuff with them and whatever. It actually inspired me to get more active. So I guess my solution, and maybe it's the cockeyed optimist in me, was to change it from the inside. I'm not, at the end of the day, that much of a cynic. Taryn, Tactical Hobo, what would you do? A hobo wound up leaving, so I guess that answers that question.
Well, yeah. I mean, it wasn't purely because of the politics. I just wanted to explore new frontiers, But...
Right. Although you did go to freaking deep red Wyoming for a bit, so that may. Well,
I'm actually in Nevada now, which is slightly more left of.
Oh my gosh, yeah, with the old Harry Reid fraud machine just barely being dismantled out there.
Well, don't look at me. I don't want to leave the state because of politics. I want to leave the state because I'm tired of triple-digit summers.
All right. Yeah, as opposed to San Antonio.
I don't want to go back
from, bro.
It's humid. It's
right.
humid there, okay?
Right. Humid and hot. That's much better.
Yeah.
Jack, what?
Moisture.
Or do you think that's their intention at all? Or are they in reality trying to get together the commie Dems to get in control of the party? Well, we kind of already answered that, actually. That's the second part of his earlier chat. I think that is just as likely. I think that's just as likely, is that it'll probably end with Dems veering even farther left. I don't know, man. The harder I look at this and the longer I look at it, the more I wonder if we're not going to witness kind of a Whig Republican Party kind of split where a new party is going to pop up, like maybe Democratic Socialists or something like that, to become either the new, viable left party in this country or something. Because it's looking increasingly like if Democrats have to cheat in this many elections, how much is their platform actually resonating? What we're watching right now is not that dissimilar to the waning days of the Whig Party. The Whigs started cheating hardcore in elections to try and get some wins, and they still weren't able to do it. They were just a completely ineffectual mess, especially in the South. And so ultimately, they just kind of had to do a hard rebrand and became the Republican Party. It was the only thing they could possibly do. Marussia Dark. I really wanted Bondi to do well and cut her a lot of slack, but after a crash out before the House Judiciary, even I'm done with her. She got to go. I didn't really see the testimony. Did either of you? I saw a couple of clips and I didn't think she came off well. Like when you're arguing with Massey, who is not a leaning tower of stunning intellect, and instead of just debunking his accusation, you go, well, you're just a Democrat. Fuck you. You know what I mean? Like there's no argument there. There's no counter argument. If she knew what she was doing, she could have shut him down in 5 seconds. I didn't think she came off well in the clips that I saw at all, which is silly because she just dropped a whole bunch of documents and she just, by any metric, she arrested a bunch of people involved in the Minneapolis riots. She could have stood on her accomplishments if she wanted to be sane, but instead she made a failed attempt to girl boss. That was kind of my read. What was yours?
From the clips that I did see, because I didn't watch the whole thing, the one that made her look the worst was when he says, how many people from the Epstein client list have you indicted? And of course, the obvious answer is 0, except, I've heard that it's Ghislaine Maxwell.
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Ghislaine. But you got her, but that's it. And
Ghislaine Maxwell was prosecuted a long time ago, though.
Right, but
she was locked up a long time ago.
His point was that no one sensed, and she didn't have an answer.
You could have, right. And there are rebuttals to that. Hey, Ghislaine Maxwell, we're currently working to try and get a more comprehensive client list from her. We could at least give us something rational. But instead, you just, no, I'm rubber, you're glue. What bounces, right? It bounces off me and sticks to you. That's kind of what she did. It was not a good look. She just didn't handle it well. I thought. Someone said Ghislaine.
We do have a couple over on Rumble. Ooga Booga says, Troons have now surpassed the body count of the residential schools.
We should probably talk about that, actually, because there is a teacher walkout going on. Do you have that story, Taryn?
Oh, 1 second.
There's a teacher walkout going on in air quotes protest over ICE, and this has been germinating for a little while. The incipient form of this goes back several weeks when the Minneapolis riots were going on and all of that stuff. And now the teachers are really, really steering into it, especially, funny enough, in some states, in some red states that you would not think necessarily. Principals, teachers, unions organize school anti-ICE walkouts. I'm going to go ahead and...
Here we go. Teachers and school administrators across the country continue to lead children out of classrooms and off school grounds into often violence-prone and dangerous left-wing protests against Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE.
For those of you who think it's only these deep blue bergs that are pushing this, a lot of this, as you're going to see, is occurring in Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth, but still, right? I mean, granted, it's Dallas. All you need to confirm Dallas doesn't know how to run a city is a single look at their fucking highway system. Like, what the hell? Looks like fusilli pasta with cars on it. But sorry, I'm getting a far afield. Go ahead.
On the West Coast, for instance, teachers at, I'm not even going to try that, high school in Washington helped students begin an anti-ICE protest, which soon exploded in violence as they began beating up a mother this week. Oh, goody. Do we want to watch this?
I don't really care. Go down.
All right.
Go down. I want to hear where all this is happening.
After the violent confrontation, the school principal, Aaron Colony, dismissed the incident by admitting that there was violence, but waving it all off because there was no serious injuries.
See how it works?
Colonies.
They get to ram you with their car and not get shot. They get to kick your ass and not get shot. Do you see the lovely little double standard we've set up here?
Connolly also did not condemn the violence and even reiterated that students had a right to protest, especially if you're the ones leading them out. God, I would love it. They really, you remember a few years ago, students would start filming their teachers going on these like tirades. You don't see that anymore.
You know what I do want you to do?
Huh?
Play that video, and I'm going to look at something else.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to pay attention to something else, and I'll tell you afterward if it pans out the way I think.
We're all up here watching this. We're here. We're all up here. I did not see that.
Okay. Go back a little bit to when it's looking over the crowd, the people who are actually attacking her. What are you noticing about these faces?
Masks.
No.
Women.
They're supposed to be protesting ICE. Everyone here's white. Are you seeing that?
Yeah. Well, I mean,
There's
it
no
is
Mexicans
Washington.
Anywhere in
Remember,
Dallas.
This is
This is in Washington.
Washington.
Yes,
yeah.
this is in Washington. But still, it's all freaking white people.
And most of them are women.
Yeah.
You seeing that?
Of course, Mexicans would be out there writing angry letters, but I guess they're waiting for Home Depot to restock the spray paint. Go ahead.
Let's see. Teachers led the
There you go, Dallas.
Middle school students in a protest the same day. That protest too devolved into violence and property destruction. Other reports found that the UTLA had been caught planning ICE resistance and using kids as pawns in pushing the political agenda.
The union, the very, very well-funded union, one of the primary funders of the Democratic Party every single election cycle. I have to say this, and I'm not seeing anyone talk about this. This has nothing to do with ICE. Nothing. It has everything to do with teachers being entitled titwanks. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the numbers in terms of enrollment and funding, but they are moving in opposite directions.
Yeah.
Despite the number of teachers and administrators skyrocketing every single year, every single election cycle, the number of student enrollments, and we could speculate as to why that is homeschooling going up? What is it? But the number of enrollments is actively plummeting, which means now the cities have a hard choice to make. You either raise property taxes to pay for all these teachers with these tiny little classrooms, or you have to shit can some teachers. This right here is the teacher's childish, petulant way of saying, raise everyone's property taxes to subsidize our propaganda, and they get to pretend that it's all about ICE. That's what this is. That's what this is. And gosh, I wonder how many of those new students even know what a green card is. I wonder. The few new students that are enrolled, probably a lot of them are illegal, which is added incentive to march on against ICE. Rather, I see this as having more to do with the ongoing and impending labor dispute that's going to result here, because cities are going to have to slash jobs, or they're going to have to hike everybody's property taxes.
I've also heard of several schools shutting down completely because of low enrollment.
Yeah, the district that my father used to work in for 20 plus years is closed now. It's completely closed.
Wow, the entire district?
Yes, I believe like several of the schools were sort of moved into another district, and then like it was carved in half, and then the district went away.
Damn.
Yeah.
According to the report,
by the way, before we move on, heavily illegal alien, right? I talked about this in my Why We Need the Wall video. Tons of illegals, tons of free lunch for everybody, free clothing, tons of welfare programs. Basically, it was a giant welfare for illegal aliens. It was not really a school anymore. But yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
According to the report at Defending Education, the UTLA has passed around planning documents and materials that advocate for the use of school resources as a form of resistance against ICE, and is urging teachers to begin engaging students in community self-defense by offering service learning hours in school. Kids in Dallas, Texas also walked out of school and blocked traffic during their anti-ICE protest.
Yeah.
Oh, look at him go.
Yep, look at him go.
And I mean, honestly, I don't believe that all of these students are against ICE. Yeah. I can believe that some
they
of them
wanted to get out.
Like, they wanted to get out of fucking class.
Yeah, they wanted to get out of school. In fact, I remember when the Red for Ed, talk about being on the nose, the Red for Ed shit, which was organized by a communist organization, we found out later. I did a whole rant on that. When that happened, I believe the teachers gave extra credit or something to students who would leave and go march in the protests for Red for Ed. That was in New Mexico, Arizona, California. That like spread over several states, that bullshit. So this is old hat strategy right here.
Walkouts continue to occur across the country, taking kids out of the safety of school grounds and allowing them to engage in risky protests.
Joe's guy on Rumble says, hold these protests on a weekend and see how small they get, right? Like Ben Shapiro without a phone book to sit on.
Principal Ryan Wilson of Boswell High School in Fort Worth, oh great, allowed the Freedom Road Socialist Organization to lead students in a protest against ICE. One of their Marxist leaders was given access to those kids, an adult who screeches, "I am not the pig."
Oh, we got to watch that. This is ridiculous.
1 second.
You okay?
No, I have to actually share the tab. 1 second. There we go.
There you go.
And you have to keep saying, you have to make a distinction. You are not the pig. Say it. You are not. I am not the pig. I am the proletarian. And you have to keep saying, I am a revolutionary.
Oh my God. Could they be hanging a bow on this shit any harder? Not only that, but what is that accent?
I was going to say, that
Indian.
Not,
yeah,
Socialist Indian.
Sounds Indian.
He sounds like a regular Fort Worth guy, y'all.
Oh, yeah, normal Texan, guys. Normal Texan. The fastest growing religion in the state of Texas it's Islam, followed immediately by Hinduism, just in case you're wondering.
We're no longer a serious nation when snot-nosed children are allowed to leave school carrying Mexican flags to protest ICE on the streets.
No shit.
Laying an effigy of Donald Trump on a cross.
Defending their vote farms among teachers, their vote farms among illegals, defending their vote farms across the board through illegal immigration. I mean, we've seen all of this in Minnesota, throughout the American Southwest. Shoot, it's germane to another topic that we need to talk about. Guys, the SAVE Act by one vote freaking passed. The SAVE Act actually passed. Do you have that?
Yes, I do.
There we go. And Steve Scalise, who was nearly taken from us a few years ago by another mass shooter, just another happy, peaceful leftist, weighed in on the SAVE Act being passed.
Let's take a look, shall we?
Representatives led by Republicans came together tonight and said, we will protect the sanctity of your vote. And it's so important. You know, you think about the military veteran who risked his life overseas to defend our freedoms. He comes back home and his vote will be stolen if somebody's able to vote illegally.
Exactly.
It happens. I come from a state where our elections commissioner was sent to federal prison. We all know it goes on, and how can you protect it?
Pause real quick.
When you listen to the
He's from Louisiana, infamous for having a fraud apparatus, just for those who aren't following along or don't know where he's from. Go ahead.
The arguments by the Democrats, it was some of the most embarrassing, hypocritical debate you could hear. They're talking about voter suppression. Well, let me tell you, and it's been brought up. Try getting on an airplane and flying home tonight without showing a picture ID. Try going into a bar without showing a picture ID. Try getting into the Democrat National Convention without showing an ID. Representatives led by Republicans came.
Yeah, but you can get an abortion out in the parking lot without showing anything, right?
And
There are constitutional arguments to be made that the federal government doesn't oversee elections, and therefore this is like some kind of overreach. But like the truth is, none of this would be necessary if many of these states were not running third world elections. I mean, that's just how it is. Left coast Leninists may fancy themselves metropolitan, but behind all those glass skyscrapers and shit, their entire election system is just pure third world. It's chasing a wildebeest with a pointy stick. And we have passed that point long ago. Third world elections have third world results. Ask Mogadishu. You know what I mean? Look at what's happening over there. Look at the violence we saw. It looked like Mogadishu for a minute. And that wouldn't happen if our elections were first world elections, for crying out loud. It's ridiculous. European nations look at how we handle our elections, and it's like the same way they look at us over our gun policy. It's like, what? You don't have ID? Really? You don't even check if you're legally allowed to vote? They have countries where not everybody is even eligible to vote. Basic shit that used to be the case here in America. But we have so turned the act of voting into as stringent a process as taking a number at the MVD. That's what it is. That's where we're at. Any thoughts on the SAVE Act finally passing? Oh, but can either of you summarize what the SAVE Act is, by the way, for anyone who's not yet been inculcated?
I believe it says that it specific to you just need an ID to vote is it federal elections specifically?
Believe so, yeah.
Yeah, you just need some proof that you're an American citizen to vote.
Yeah, the thing that I'm seeing right here says you have to show U.S. passport, birth certificate, naturalization certificate, or other government-issued documents confirming citizenship, which a driver's license does not do because certain states will give those to illegals. So
they sure will. And don't we know it, bro? Let's see here. It amends the National Voter Registration Act of 1993 by prohibiting states from accepting voter registration applications without such proof. See, it's voter registration that requires that proof, such as a U.S. passport, birth certificate, or real ID compliant identification that explicitly indicates citizenship. The bill also mandates states to create an alternative process for applicants to submit other evidence of citizenship if standard documents are unavailable. It, of course, originally passed back in like 2025, and now it's been amended or whatever. And look, it must be said, we have to be adults about it. I shit monumentally on Thomas Massey all the time, but I guess he actually got the message and actually voted for the thing. So, hair hats off to the guy, credit where it's due. Although it is worth mentioning, if a single Republican had joined him in voting against the SAVE Act rule that he objected to a while ago, it would have killed the entire thing and it never would have passed. So that must be said. Credit also to, I think it was John Fetterman, who I'm equally distrustful of, but he ambled across the aisle. He broke ranks with the Democrats and he voted for it. Any thoughts on that, guys?
Lately he's been making a couple of moves. Whether or not they're genuine, I don't know.
Yeah.
But respect where respect is due. He did go in front of everyone and say, "Hey, you know what? It's reasonable to want this."
And look, this is a wish list item for us. We didn't just want some executive order on election security. We wanted a law. We wanted something passed. This is why we voted for Trump. This is a W.
Absolutely.
This is a W for Republicans, and it's a W for Trump. And I think it's a largely unqualified W. Yes, there's some pork in this. Yes, we hate the pork. There's pork in every damn bill. There was pork in the Epstein list bill. There's always pork in every single bill. And we shouldn't have it. But realpolitik, guys. You got to live in the real world. Period. I'd like actually to hear what some of you guys have to say. Hellhound says it is a W through and through. Deconstruct on Rumble says sounds like Fetterman has experienced some actual logic. Fetterman is embarrassed of the other Dems. Fetterman is being pragmatic. Or sorry, John Fetterman cross the aisle to support it, not vote on it. Sorry, guys. It's been a long day. I apologize. I misspoke. Godspeed. Thank you, Ironclad. Stephen Vaughn. Godspeed. Can you help me cheat on my homework? I was asked to name 5 good things about a Dem. All I can think of is that some of them have jobs. Well, Monica Lewinsky's a Democrat. I can think of one job she does well. Let's see here. If you ask me to list a bunch of good things about classic Civil War era Democrats, I could list a few. They used to be the conservative party in this country. They used to be the states' rights party in this country. They did.
I wonder what happened.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not the kind of populist who I'm not any kind of populist, actually. So even good Democratic policies are usually not my bailiwick. Either of you guys doing anything but rolling snake eyes on that?
They provide endless sources of entertainment,
yeah.
I guess. Just that.
Yeah.
The loner.
I know this is off topic, and I'm only asking tonight because I won't be able to watch Razor Fist Arcade tomorrow. Have you seen previews of Spider-Man Noir with Nicolas Cage on Amazon yet? If so, what are your thoughts? Yeah, it's not noir, but I've never been a big Spider Noir fan. The comics were never really noir at all, right? It's just kind of, hey, we like Sin City, so let's kind of do a Spider-Man version of that. Who knows? I'll watch it. I'll give it a whirl, I guess. I have Amazon Prime. We'll see if it's any good. I wonder why it's on Amazon Prime, though, and not Disney Plus. Either of you have any clue why that is?
That is strange. I'm not actually sure.
Maybe it was in development before Disney Plus was made or something. Thank you, Iron Rider.
Yeah, the Spider-Man licensing is always weird. I know that because like Sony still owns it or something, or I don't know. But
they already did make using wrong pronouns a crime with Bill C-17, which JP actively opposed. Sea Striker. Of course, not only is this modern child sacrifice, but these same sacrifices are holy soldiers for neo-Marxism, which is, as many people, this is not a novel idea. You know, Marxism really is a secular religion. It is spoken of in religious terms. It has a religious framework. It demands religious adherence. That clip we just heard of the Indian guy, the Microsoft tech support guy, telling everyone, to repeat after me. He's catechizing them. That's catechesis. When we, in the Lutheran Church, when we're catechized, the entire thing is structured as here's what the priest says, here's what the supplicant says, here's what the priest says, here's what the supplicant says, and it's call and answer. And Luther structured it that way, and that's a common structure for catechesis. Marxists have done that since day one. Lord Nifty, what would you prefer, Duke Nukem versus Muslim invaders, or Vlad Tepes versus Ottoman Empire using Soul Reaver mechanics? What's your dream idea for this? Speaking of which, Soul Reaver, not a Soul Reaver, but a Legacy of Kain. A new one was just announced.
Yep, the new remaster of Defiance.
It's a Metroidvania. So that's interesting. But what's your dream idea for this? Duke Nukem versus Muslim invade. Dude, Duke Nukem versus any Middle Eastern terror cell would be brilliant. Be absolutely brilliant. Reaper Grimm, Troons aren't enjoying being all painted as crazed mass shooters. As a white Christian straight male who likes firearms, I certainly couldn't relate. Thank you, gents, for showing me Wildness from the last live. Nowhere Land is a Killer Song, as well as Cold Words. Godspeed. They're a great band, and their last one, Avenger, is a killer album. They have a string of killer albums, but you got to like AOR, because their albums are almost as soft as they are heavy. Maybe sometimes even softer than they are heavy. It's very much AOR, if you know what that is. Sonic Boomer. Giving people with mind issues hormones might be exacerbating the issue just a slight bit. Well, I mean, when Chris Benoit shuttled his entire family off to the great hereafter, the argument immediately became, hey, what role did steroids play in that? What are steroids? What are steroids, guys?
Testosterone.
They're freaking hormones. You're injecting yourself with hormones. I'll tell you what, I used to do an allergy inhaler. Which had corticosteroid in it. Wasn't, not much or whatever. But when I cut that thing off, when I stopped taking it, it affected my mood for, a few weeks or whatever. It's just a regular, you know what I mean?
It's almost as if a hormone imbalance might have something to do with all of these shootings.
Yeah. Richard Head, with the GOP primary getting easier for Andy Biggs, it seems like he has a real chance at winning Arizona's governor race. The real question is, will the Arizona GOP actually safeguard their elections? Here's the big question and the worry that I've always had. When Kari Lake lost, the argument from a lot of people on the right or from Arizona GOP was, well, look, she couldn't win because she was a wingnut. She's the problem. A normal Republican would have won. I remember seeing I think it was Mike Cernovich. Said something like, oh, they had a chance to win, but they went with Kari Lake. They should have, if they had just picked a normal Republican, they would have won. Here's my worry. If they're all rallying around Andy Biggs, is this the kind of Republican that we want winning? If they had that big a problem with Kari Lake, she put her money where her mouth is. She actually engaged in a bunch of election lawsuits. She got no help from the AZ GOP. None. They let her twist in the wind and fight those election lawsuits herself. And while there was never any redress, of course, the court did ultimately acknowledge, there was enough fraud that you're probably the legal governor of Arizona, but we can't prove that Katie Hobbs did it on purpose. So sorry, you don't get to be the governor. Bang, bang with the gavel. And I think the reason that they never gave Abe Hamadeh the same, they never afforded him the same courtesy, and they gave the job to Chris Mays, even though that election was only separated by, 300 votes or something like that. Never gave him a recount, never gave him an audit, because they knew it would overturn the result. I think that's why. The Kari Lake lawsuit had happened by then. So they were like, oh, we're not letting that happen. We're not letting this Democrat cheater get out of office. That would be my response. What about you guys?
It would be nice if the Arizona conservatives here would actually try to conserve something.
All right.
Like our elections.
Our votes.
Don't forget last time when Kari Lake ran, you brought this up. They didn't support her at all. I don't think she got any funding for any advertising at all.
No, they let her twist in the wind. Trump endorsed her, he got help in that sense, but they didn't pour any money into that election, the national GOP. They did the same thing to Blake Masters. Basically, the Republican Party the National Republican Party, I'm talking now, has been throwing races in Arizona for the last 4 or 5 election cycles. They haven't funded anything. So Blake Masters, they did spend some money on Martha McSally, but that was one of the first really suspicious elections. We remember them finding 150,000 extra votes that just coincidentally all went for Kyrsten Sinema and completely reversed the result of the election result on election night. So, all right, let's see here. The After Nightmare. Is It's a Gundam a gun person, or is it just a Gundam? It's a gun ma'am, actually. It's
Gun Van Damme.
Thoughts on the black protagonist in the new Silent Hill game? DEI nonsense. It's also in Scotland. Weren't Silent Hill games a love letter to U.S. horror? I don't know what's going on with Silent Hill. I do not know. F doesn't appeal to me at all.
And neither does this one. So this one was announced in that big, when they announced the Silent Hill 2 remake.
Mm-hmm.
They also announced Silent Hill F, and this one, Silent Hill Townfall. This one's going to be a first-person Silent Hill game set in Europe. I didn't know it was Scotland, but in Europe. The main character's black, though I don't think it plays into anything. It's just
right.
a
black person. Dude, a Scottish black guy. Can you imagine how bad the tip for dinner is going to be?
Oh,
holy shit. Anyway, sorry.
But I don't know, man. It just I don't see the appeal. I have to see more.
All right. No true Scotsman goes to Silent Hill. Yes, Godspeed. Oops, sorry. Night Crowd. Has your stance on the MJ Michael Jackson rebuttals changed throughout the years? If anything, it's been galvanized. I'm more certain that he was innocent than ever. Gosh, after the Epstein drops too, I couldn't be more certain. I hope not. You've really educated me on the slander of media in general. No, I stand by that completely. And actually, I had another one that I wanted to do about the train station stuff, right? The Wade Robson, James Safechuck accusations completely fell apart because James Safechuck in Leaving Neverland claimed that he had been molested in a train station that hadn't been built yet. He claimed the time when he had visited Michael Jackson, that train station didn't yet exist. I never got to put that in a video. And now the Casios are coming out, and that's really, really sus. Because the Casios is a family that are now, apparently they're making noise about wanting to start a lawsuit to join Wade Robson and James Safechuck. And that would make Robson and Safechuck look even worse, because the Casios, for those who are not aware, I need to make a video about this. They are the ones who sold the fake Michael Jackson tracks to Sony. So when the Michael album came out when was that? 2010? Do you guys remember? 2010, I think. There were 3 songs on there. Monster, Keep Your Head Up, and I forget what the third one was. And the vocals sounded completely wrong. They didn't sound like Michael Jackson. And there's a great podcast that's all about the fake Casio tracks and whatever. I'm going to go ahead and make a video, I think, summarizing all that stuff, because I think what happened is Sony suddenly started backing away from the tracks because they're obviously fake. And so the Casios are like, oh, you're not going to pay us? Oh, really? Okay, well, we'll go ahead and sue the estate and suddenly claim that we were diddled. This is starting to become a recurring pattern, basically, is Wade Robson didn't get paid by the estate. He got turned down for a job. And then all of a sudden the accusations popped up. By the way, the Casios, Wade Robson, all of them, offered to, and I think a couple of them literally did testify under oath in defense of Michael Jackson. And it's really bad because I think it was Eddie Cascio. I think it's Eddie Cascio. Eddie Cascio testified that he was in the room with the 2005 accuser. So he was the crucial testimony in 2005, talking about how, Michael didn't actually sleep on the bed with these kids at all. He would stay, because his bedroom was multi-stories, he would stay down on the first floor, and the kid would he'd just give the bed to the kid. And the kid kept insisting, no, you got to sleep in here with me, almost like it was some kind of like entrapment thing. It was really sketchy. And it was Eddie Cascio, actually, who testified to that in court. I remember reading that page of the transcript back in the day. I still have just files upon files of the court transcripts from Michael Jackson. The proton spinner. About the only time red flag laws should work, no one calls it in. Every T-girl in possession of firearms should be reported as a danger. It is wild that no matter how many times this happens, the parents still keep giving these Looney Tunes access to loaded firearms. Connect 200, after seeing non-political YouTubers giving a non-critical thinking take on the Epstein files, maybe releasing the files was a mistake. Maybe things shouldn't be public to the average person. I think to something that's ongoing, and to most people, it feels like the Epstein Island stuff is ongoing and unresolved. I would agree with that. If it's still ongoing, if you're still in the process of prosecuting or investigating or whatever, there's no reason for files to be out there in public. But I guess because Epstein is dead and Ghislaine is behind bars, they had sort of pretext to say, oh, it's over, it's resolved, so now we can release the files. Like, okay, JFK assassination, it makes sense for me. We release that because it's been how many freaking decades. But with Epstein, it feels like something that was still looming in the air and is still ongoing. I don't know. Do you guys have a read on that? How does that feel to you?
Yeah, it definitely feels like it's... Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Hobo. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, no, it definitely feels like it's still ongoing. There's how much of the stuff still hasn't been released, and like we have no idea what is in all that stuff so far.
Yeah. And not only that, but Bondi kind of had her meltdown during that that conference or whatever in Congress, and she was pushed over. Why didn't you indict anyone? Why haven't you arrested anyone? Why haven't you? So in that sense, like, obviously it's ongoing. So I do think in that sense that's kind of a mistake, and maybe as time goes on, we'll see it as more of a mistake. It may. As time goes on, some people may have to eat crow on this, because I think when Trump called it a hoax, he wasn't so much saying like there's nothing to this, so much as he was saying the narrative around it is kind of bullshit. We've reached a point where it's sort of people's opinion on Epstein is sort of unfalsifiable, where it's like if it doesn't show certain people exactly what they want to see, they're not going to accept it. I think we eclipsed that point a while ago, honestly. And maybe I'm guilty of that too. I made a number of videos talking about that. But I also didn't speculate exactly what was going on. I just wanted to know what was going on because it seemed obfuscative how it was being handled. And you know what? That probably still hasn't been ameliorated. Sorry, guys, I'm kind of thinking out loud here. But that sort of hasn't been. Sorry, go ahead.
The reason that it doesn't feel like it's been, like it isn't over yet, that there's still finding out new shit, there are thousands of those emails, and we keep learning new shit. Yeah. Like the whole thing with the beef jerky, and like, also, it does not help that a lot of the names have been redacted. That tells me ongoing investigation. Maybe we're going to even see
prospective
more
victims. And I know that, what was it, 3 or 4 of the victims named in the files, their information was not redacted, and they came out, and I think they're suing the DOJ over it, and they're complaining about Massey and others, and even Trump, they're complaining about Trump having put them out there, saying their lives are in danger, they're being harassed, and all of this. So, like, I think there's like privacy issues with the accusers themselves. A little bit. That's always been an issue, though. We always kind of assumed that would be an issue. I guess honoring preferred pronouns is more important than honoring the children who are in the hereafter because of this so-called person. YouTube censorship sucks. Godspeed. Yeah, there's still some kids fighting for their life. So if you have occasion to pray this evening and you can't think of a subject to pray about, that would be a really, really good one to pray about.
We do have a few over on Rumble if you want.
Yeah, rock and roll on it. Before we do that,
yeah.
Speaking of the great hereafter, rest in peace, James Vanderbeek. Dawson was his most famous role, but I loved him as Patsu for the English dub of Castle in the Sky. Yeah, that I didn't even know he was struggling with it. I had no idea he was with Stacy Keibler. What happened there?
And 6 kids.
Who knew? What the heck?
McLeod, as gun-toting as Texas was in the 50s, you couldn't carry a pistol until the 90s. Rifles and shotguns is all you had, left over of Reconstruction and hard dem rule.
Yeah.
And your friendly neighborhood fed. Hail, Razor, have you ever played any of the Time Splitters games? My wife and I are expecting our second son any day now. Black pills are not an option for us. Thanks and Godspeed.
Yeah. There's no reason to ever take the black pill, because if you're a believer, then you already know how this ends. You've already seen the back of the book. So try and keep that in mind. Try and keep in mind that no matter what's going on, God is in control. And the Bible says that all things will work out to the good of they who confess his name. All right.
Oh, and his question was, have you ever played any of the Time Splitters games?
Oh, I think maybe back in the day. Was there a Time Splitters that was on Saturn back in the day?
Sega Saturn? I don't think so. It was a PS2 era game.
Okay. Then what was I thinking of then? There was like a well, anyways, I don't think I have then.
Okay.
I was thinking of something else. Time Crisis, maybe?
Yeah, I think that's what you're thinking of.
Maybe Time Crisis. I remember going over to my neighbor's house and playing that on the Sega Saturn. Sega Saturn was a very unfairly beshitted console. It was a good console. It didn't deserve the hate. Bubba Doom, 1837. This is Romans 1. I've been saying it for years. We're living under the curse described in Romans 1. Maybe we should read that, actually. Yeah, here we go. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth of unrighteousness, because that which may be known of God is manifest in them, for God hath showed it unto them. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so they are without excuse. Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they instead became fools, and changed the glory of the incorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man, and to birds and four-footed beasts and creeping things. Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lusts of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves, who changed the truth of God into a lie, and worshipped and served the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. For this cause God gave them up unto vile affections, for even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another. Just for all you people pretending that the Bible prescribes that homosexuality is okay. Men with men working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error, which was meet. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind, to do those things which are not convenient, being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful, who, knowing the judgment of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them. Freaking, where's that gif with the pen and the fire?
Yeah.
We need that right now, folks. Godspeed and thank you for that one, bro. That was good stuff. Movie idea: Silence of the Trans. There we go. Hello, Clarice. Did you just assume my name? You just dead name me? Jack Wise, setting a horror game in Scotland, not a problem, but having the main character of that game be black is ridiculous. They may as well just set the Silent Hill game here in the US with a black protagonist. Yeah, that's something that I don't think any of us even would have blinked at, right? Like, all the Silent Hill games were set in America. There could just as easily be a Mexican protagonist or a black protagonist. I don't think anyone would have batted an eyelash because it makes sense. It takes all kinds, but Master Chief, hey Razor, what would you tell a young man who's lost faith in Congress? I'd say he's paying attention, and the courts ever fixing themselves, and now expects executive takeovers instead of supporting them since laws stall and justice feels toothless. I can understand the impulse to that. I would say sometimes an oversight of an executive can briefly ameliorate a problem like that. But a long-term solution is usually only found in removing the power entirely from the government to make those decisions. That's why when I made my stench from the bench video, it had more to do with, hey, there are other mechanisms that we can use to neuter the power of the court outright so we don't have to worry whether the court is conservative or not. Because, again, we're supposed to have a three-headed sort of hydra of a governmental system, executive, legislative, judiciary, right? And far and away, judiciary is more powerful than the other two. No question. Executive has more powers, but there are checks and balances on that power to the point of almost being neutered. Same is true of Congress. Judiciary, they can go completely into business for themselves, and they never fear reprisal. They're completely insulated from the electorate, and no politician would dare to impeach them because there would be too many political consequences attendant to that action. So the only solution, as far as I can see, is if you see an element of the government that is too powerful, remove the power entirely. You could prevail upon Trump to do that, by the way, because he could recommend an impeachment. You could, you could smooth the process. The thing that I've always recommended is allow the president to recommend an impeachment of a Supreme Court justice, and then that will then be referred to Congress, because, of course, the reason that we stopped impeaching Supreme Court justices is there's too many political consequences that come with it. Once you do that, you're the asshole senator who flipped the Supreme Court, and now that's a bitter political fight, and it's just a can of worms that nobody in the Senate or House of Representatives wants to shoulder. I think that's really what it is. So and that's just a recommendation. I'm not claiming it has its origin in the mind of genius or it's a sovereign remedy, but it's my suggestion is that you make it easier for impeachment to be recommended, maybe letting the president do it, because the president already gets blamed for everything politically, so he can shoulder those consequences. Do you guys have any advice for someone who's completely lost faith in Congress or the courts ever fixing themselves, ever, pulling back some of these runaway powers that the courts have and different government agencies have?
Don't think I could have said it better.
No, I think you said it perfectly, actually. And remember, we've got 3 good years left. I think Trump may have I think he might actually have the guts to go after the courts, especially after what they put him through.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're heading into midterms. I think you just need, you just have to assume that you're going to lose midterms. Just go full kamikaze. Make your end run if you're Trump. Just lose all fucks to give. Just go for it. Pardon my French. Completely off topic. We should talk about this. The Grizzly. Completely off topic, but Blizzard just released a new class in Diablo 2 after 28 years, the Warlock class, and it looks pretty fun. Would you stream Diablo 2? Bring up that story, Taryn. We want to have a little bit of levity here, a little bit of lighthearted news. Let's talk about it. This is going to make you feel old, though, because I think it's for the 30th anniversary. I think it is.
Diablo 2 isn't 30 years old, is it?
No, but Diablo 1.
Diablo 1, yeah.
I think you may have sent me the wrong article. This one's about Diablo 4.
Oops, sorry. I did send you the wrong article. Well, just go look up the Diablo. I mean, it's been big gaming news.
They have a little link here.
Which, by the way, summons demons against demons. Really? What the hell is that? I don't know what that means, but I know I wrote it in my high school yearbook once. All right, there we go. Diablo 2 gets its first expansion in 25 years, featuring a new class. And finally, decent inventory management.
Blizzard just shadow dropped the expansion as part of the series' 30th anniversary celebration, if you want to feel old.
My joints ache just reading that. Oh, my back hurts, guys.
Hold on, let me take a sip of my Metamucil.
Yes.
I swore I heard the developers wrong on the Diablo 30th anniversary spotlight video when they said that Diablo 2 would be getting a second expansion. Lord of Destruction came out 25 years ago. Diablo 2 is a really old game. Surely they meant to say Diablo 4.
Yeah.
The game that we already know is getting a second expansion this year. Nope. I played it back, and they really just announced a new Diablo 2 expansion called Reign of the Warlock.
What the hell?
And made it available today.
What?
Diablo 2 Resurrected is also on Steam now.
Yeah, that's big. That's almost bigger news. They put freaking Diablo 2 on Steam. The hell? Can I level with you guys? I completely forgot Blizzard even exists. I kind of.
After they got absorbed by Activision.
Yeah, and then they got gobbled up by Microsoft. I haven't heard the name Blizzard since the last time I went to Dairy Queen. I don't even pay attention to them. But I go, dude, read this. I'm in disbelief this even happened. My jaw hit the floor.
The star of the expansion is the new Warlock class. Not a new campaign, unfortunately, which will be noticeably different from the one coming to Diablo 4.
Yeah.
Blizzard did something clever here and designed it to represent the earliest days of the demon summoners in Diablo history before they become even more powerful later in the timeline. They can call on 3 different demons, and one can bind at one enemy demon for powerful buffs.
Status magician?
I played one at a recent press conference at Blizzard HQ. Although I had no idea what I was doing, was impressed by how well the class fit into what is effectively a retro game with fancy graphics on top. Dropping big demonic sigils underneath monsters to curse them, and watching my demons tear everything apart just felt as natural as any of the other, much older classes. Even though every time he just says old and retro, I just want to fucking put a hole in my wall.
Dude, freaking junior, I think it's junior year, man. There's this druggie who used to sit next to me in art class. Dude, he'd come he'd be baked on mescaline. He'd literally, this guy did hardcore drugs, muscle relaxers and shit. He'd show up. One day he comes to class and he's just baked out of his mind. He just hands me a Diablo 2 disc. He's like, dude, play this. It's so good. I'm like, okay. I go home and install it. Dude, I was addicted to Diablo 2 for the rest of the freaking year. I must have played the multiplayer every single night.
Let's see. Where do I? Even though I don't play these games, the Warlock certainly made me reconsider trying it again, if only to hold myself over until Diablo 4's big update.
Oh yeah, that's the main event, Diablo 4. Let's be real. They screwed up Diablo 4 so bad they had to make an expansion for Diablo 2 as free advertising for the Diablo 4 update that no one's looking forward to.
Let's see, Diablo 2. I'm skipping past the part where he's being fucking like, oh, I remember trying this, but blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Diablo 2 Resurrected wasn't enough of a remake for me to endure decades-old design decisions.
Oh, shut up!
Like manually organizing
this
my
PC
stash
Gamer?
one click at a time.
Is this PC Gamer?
Yes, it is.
Of course. We all know what PC stands for now on this website. It's absolute detritus.
I can no longer complain about that, though, because stash tabs are on the list of quality of life updates coming with this expansion. Now,
I did play it like for hours last night, and they did change how the inventory works and some different stuff. It's pretty nice. It is pretty nice. And it's got loot filters, and there's some like filtering options, and yeah, just a lot of quality of life stuff. Matchmaking is a little better.
Now items will stack to preserve inventory space, and there are unique stash tabs for specific things like materials, gems, and runes. Diablo 4.
Dude, guys, I just so we're clear. We got an expansion pack for Diablo 2 before we got Elder Scrolls 6.
We got that before Grand Theft Auto 6.
And Star Citizen.
And Star Citizen.
What? This industry is so gay. This industry is not serious, dude. Oh, Bubba Doom, the age of Diablo 2 reminds me that I've recently done the most Gen X thing one can do in this day and age. I made stewed prunes. Yes. Made prune wine. Oh, God, Jack White. Barnes has also pointed out the Southern District of New York call themselves the Sovereign District of New York. I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do.
Isn't that cute?
Why is there demonic references in the Epstein files? Did you read the part about Lady Gaga getting freaked out about the spirit cooking and she refused to show up to Epstein Island?
I guess good on her.
Yeah, but then there's photos of her at spirit cooking things. Those came out years ago during the WikiLeaks stuff. Actually, there's a lot of crossover between the reaction to WikiLeaks and the reaction to Epstein. You remember Julian Assange was interviewed after the WikiLeaks dropped, and somebody asked him really directly, like, what do you think is the main thing that everybody is missing about WikiLeaks? Like, what's the takeaway that no one is getting? And his response was brilliant. It was one word. Do you remember what it was, guys?
What?
Everything.
Oh.
The fog of war around WikiLeaks was basically the same as here with the Epstein files. All right. Hey, Massey was crying saying this gave amnesty to illegals. Any truth? I've looking at the Save Act, and I remember reading over the text. There's no amnesty for illegals in it at all.
I think they tried to throw that in there, though, didn't they? The Dems?
At one point, they may have, maybe when it was originally tabled. Christian Wayfarer, 1997. Nothing like seeing the sheriff of Charlotte not being able to name what branch of government he works for. North Carolina Public School, everyone. D.O. Mythos. When? Godspeed. I can just tell you I'm working on a mythos right now. Kingfire. Hey, Razor, you remember Trails here in the Valley? Gosh, I lived in 3 different houses here in Phoenix, like over the course of my childhood and into adulthood and whatever. All 3 times, I somehow wound up next to a Trails. They were everywhere, dude.
I remember those.
Dude,
Yeah,
what happened to those?
I don't know if
just
I ever went in
remember
one or not, but
I just remember the commercials.
Yeah, the commercials were ubiquitous. They were
always
the
on the rock
trashiest.
radio.
Yeah, they were the trashiest 80s, 90s kind of. It was funny too. The advertisements for Trails were like footage from 1985, and they kept airing them well into the 2000s.
Yeah,
It'd be like a bunch of big-haired like 80s chicks in bikinis on freaking motorcycles, and yeah, Trails. You know what I mean? It was such a dated business model. I loved them.
Fuck you, Baltimore.
Right? It was so freaking weird. But yeah, all 3 times I somehow wound up next to a Trails. You used to be next to a Trails, right, Hobo?
Well, I was like
right down the road. Yeah, right down the road.
They used to always be on like the rock radio stations, right? And they'd be like Trails. They'd have that thing where they say that.
Trails,
Trails.
Yeah, totally.
Well, I didn't even realize it was like gone, to be honest. But I don't.
It was like, for those who don't know, it was like it kind of started out as like a biker store, sort of like biker merch and stuff like that. And then it turned into a druggie store, is basically like a pothead store. You could get like hair dye. In fact, when I dyed my hair green back in the day, when I was in punk rock and I had like Liberty spikes and stuff, that's where I got my hair dye at, was freaking Trails.
I remember those days.
Yeah. And my hair bleach, I think I got from there too. Hellhound, Reddit is currently screeching about Henry Cuellar. I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. Actually, I don't. He's a Democrat. Voting for the SAFE Act. It's amazing how quickly the commies become pro-deportation when it's a minority going against that agenda. Isn't it, though? Well, gosh, we saw that footage of the freaking ICE agent being called a coon or whatever they called him. GI Guy Joe. So when do we admit that instead of banning guns, we let Meemaw own a full auto rifle, SMG, pistol, shotgun, maybe even a machine gun with an 800 round backpack when they're not serving a sentence, right? Oh, Cesario. Love how a rep in the U.S. House showed on X how he and the rest of his peers vote. They have to insert their ID into a machine to vote. 213 of them forgot this on the SAVE Act. They didn't forget shit, bro. They didn't forget anything. Trans shut up a school at Tumbler Ridge. Whoever is writing reality has a sense of humor. No shit. As soon as I heard that. In all seriousness, this is a tragedy and proof Canadian gun control does not work. Nor does Australian gun control, nor does Chicago gun control, nor does California gun control, nor does any gun control. It never works. It never works. It's never worked. And it's not supposed to work because the more it fails, the more you try to pass it. Banning guns for public safety has the same energy as you're homeless, just buy a house. It doesn't address the issue, which in this case is mental health, right? The old Dennis Miller joke. The Democratic solution for hard drugs is bouncy crack houses.
We do have a couple more over here on Rumble.
Ruron.
Razor, with the exception of you, Laura, and Brendan Daly, why have so many conservatives, i.e. Jack Posobiec, and larger accounts been silent about Steve Bannon emails with Jeffrey Epstein?
I do not understand that. I don't believe he did anything wrong. What I've read, it doesn't seem like he was involved in trafficking or anything, but boy, he was pretty buddy-buddy with him. And it's pretty ridiculous that he does a podcast all the time and doesn't have to address it. You know what I mean? Like if I was named in the Epstein files, you can bet the next freaking RazörForce offensive, I'd be like, hey, here's what happened. You know what I mean? It sounds like Bannon was doing a documentary on Epstein. What I want to know is, why was Bannon reaching out to him to do that? It's almost like, so this happened after the charges were out for Epstein. That's what really bothers me. So after we know what's going on with Epstein, which Trump was on top of, we now know that came out this week. We didn't even add that as a story, but it's been officially confirmed. We already knew this. It's been out there for over a decade. I mention it whenever the Epstein case is mentioned, but Trump was the early whistleblower on Epstein. He's named as an informant. The mainstream media tried to spin this as Trump was aware. Yeah, he blew the whistle. No shit. They literally report one half of the statement without mentioning that. And oh, hey, by the way, he reported him. So, but it sounds like after this happened and after Trump was warning people not to go near Epstein and after he had been banned from Mar-a-Lago, then Bannon sidled alongside him and tried to bring Epstein into Trump's inner circle. That's fucked up, and that does deserve an explanation. And I don't think Bannon has troubled himself to offer one. And it's pretty ridiculous, given that a lot of people who are following Bannon or following the narratives that are coming down from Bannon and filtering down to people like Posobiec filtering down to kind of the flunkies under Bannon. There's a whole sort of subset of influencers that are sort of repeating his talking points. None of them are confronting him on it. They're all claiming, Trump is protecting diddlers. And meanwhile, Bannon's chilling with frickin' Epstein, hanging out on the island, filming interview footage, and we don't demand him explain anything? Guys, what the hell? You're willing to fight your own side as long as they're not named Bannon? The hell? It's gun ma'am. Again, I don't think there's any malfeasance necessarily. I don't think he necessarily did anything, but the fact that we don't even demand him to explain it? Not a Fed. Should there be any restrictions on the Second Amendment, and how do you feel? No.
Nope.
No.
Yes.
I want to own a battleship.
Yes. Yeah. All Democrats should be banned from owning guns. Absolutely.
And pronoun people. Yeah. It's looking like. No, I mean, the Second Amendment doesn't really confer us with gun rights. Technically, your states do. Sly Marbo, I have guns in the shithole and in British Columbia. Generic name here. Yo, y'all seen the liberal lambada being danced around the Save America Act? Pardon me. I'm from a family of immigrants, and we're all pretty insulted by the patronizing of libs and the left. Yes, indeed. We just talked about that. It's pretty ridiculous. And again, go talk to any, shoot, I live in Phoenix. I know a lot of Latinos, people in my church, people, at jobs I used to work at and stuff like that. And dude, they're as gung-ho for deporting illegal immigrants as anybody you'll ever meet. And I'm sure Hobo could talk your ear off about Latinos that he's known that are the same exact way. You know what I mean? When you meet a Latino who really, really has a position on illegal immigration, he's either hardcore for completely open borders, in which case he probably can't even speak English, or he's like, send them all back. Send them in a catapult, for crying out loud. Sea Striker, when did Canada go from our friendly neighbors to the north to the commie-controlled experiment? A long time ago. What do you think the wedge in the door was for that? Was it the quote-unquote free healthcare? Hey, look what daddy government gave you. And oh, hey, by the way, now he has the power to take that from you. The age-old Barry Goldwater quote. A government powerful enough to give you everything you could ever want is powerful enough to take it all away.
I do wonder, because we've heard rumors for decades about them bussing them in from a border, and you just have to wonder, what did they promise them on that bus?
No kidding. Marcus Jackson, mass casualty events are modern development. Schools and guns existed in tandem without issue for generations. So what changed? Were there any school shootings before MK Ultra? Yes. I talked about those school shootings before that. TTHTTPD. On a business trip to Alberta. Also, wasn't MK Ultra was more a project of the 60s, 70s, early 80s. Why would the school shootings not start in earnest until the late 1990s? Like, when the most intensive activity on MK Ultra was happening, wouldn't that be when the school shootings would start? On a business trip to Alberta, I interviewed a few endocrinologists, the hormone prescribers. Some believe the U.S. government has them on a hit list. Going to take a lot to wake Canada up. No shit. Any attempt at further gun confiscation in Canada will result in spiking numbers of booting incidents. I think it's a booting incident. Randall, later stories say Henry Arnault doesn't exist. Henry Arnault is another dual identity of the Shadow. And I've actually heard that. Some of his identities are completely made up. George Clarendon, I think, is completely made up, but Lamont Cranston's real, and I think Gage is real. Topside crisis. Ever notice how the press is oddly quiet when a would-be shooter is taken down by armed citizens? And it happens more often than you think. I remember there was a shooting, or it wasn't a shooting, it was like a robbery out here in Phoenix years ago at like a fast food joint. You knew these guys are retards if they're robbing a fast food joint. And a citizen who happened to be carrying just walked right up behind the guy and blew his brains out. You know, he had a shotgun on the cashier there. I remember that was years ago, 90s maybe, early 2000s. But, you know, Phoenix, why would you do that in Phoenix where like everybody, there's a freaking gun behind every blade of grass, and we got more grass than you would think for a desert. Scott Fisher, looks like Carrie Bowler is the Sarah Stock being signal boosted, the usual conservapod bros. Carrie Prejean. Yeah, I did see that. I just think she had her little meltdown and she's not taking it well. That's all I see from that. I just find it hilarious how she kind of suddenly was really important out of nowhere. Maybe that's what you're commenting on more so. Topside Crisis, the left needs Trump more than he needs their approval. It's true. They do need a demon. They absolutely do need a focal point and a demoniac. Maybe that's why they're fixating so much on Vance right now. They recognize that he's very likely to inherit the party. John Horn, I love the Lord of the Rings movies, but one plot hole keeps bothering me. Why didn't the Fellowship just fly the Eagles up Sauron's ass and blow him up from the inside? P.S. I've been drinking tonight. Godspeed, Laffy Taffers. Godspeed, and thank you for joining us. Dustin the Grim, the Mega Man X6 fan game drops tomorrow. Looking forward to playing it this weekend. I'm going to have to check that out. You know, I told you guys I've been going back through the Mega Man X games. I'm up to 5 now.
Oh.
I am.
Wait, didn't you say you hadn't played 5?
Never before. I think I had maybe touched it just a little bit here and there, but I've never done a proper X5 playthrough. Never played X6. Never did 7. There's an X7, right? And I think there's even an X8, correct?
Yes, there is.
Yeah, I never played any of those.
X5 is excellent, by the way.
Ventus Bruma on Massey. I've heard the rumor that no one gets elected in Kentucky without Mitch McConnell's permission, which actually would explain both Massey and Paul's talk and no action unless it's to counter Trump. And Mitch McConnell is very powerful still. He is kind of the Chuck Schumer of Republicans in a way, sort of gets to play kingmaker. So there's an element of truth in that. I just think Massey is of the school, like Rand Paul, of, okay, I'm a libertarian. I'm just a flat out big L libertarian, but big L libertarians can't get elected. So joining the Republican Party and trying to change it from the inside is a preferred tactic. I think that's more so where he's coming from. Matthew Pickard. People are talking about trains' rights. This is Canada, you hoser. We don't have any rights like those dumb Americans, eh? Godspeed. Don't forget to wipe the moose dung off your feet when you come inside. Devious Mile. I think that this is the reason we're seeing Vance so much. Trump is trying to build his brand for 2028. I think he is too. Normally, the VP does not have this spotlight. Yeah, think about what Vance has done. Hosted the Charlie Kirk Show, probably the most watched and listened to episode of the Charlie Kirk Show. He keeps doing these mainstream media interviews, like big CNN and ABC interviews, which you'd normally, dude, Mike Pence freaking disappeared after Election Day. Like nobody talked about Mike Pence after Trump got elected until, of course, Election Day, as everybody knows, in 2020. But Vance, man, he's been everywhere. And I said when he first got elected, my advice was get a project, get your visibility up, be out there, be full court press, be really, really active, because Trump is not running again. And we need Vance to be as strong as humanly possible heading into the next election cycle. So I'm actually very impressed with that. I think Vance has done a good job at that personally. What about you guys?
Man, remember when he was out? Remember when Zelensky came to the Oval Office and like Vance just put him in his place? Man, that was great.
Brilliant.
Say thank you.
Say thank you. Yes. Oh, genius. Test site. I totally forgot about that. I would say kids need large open spaces to grow and develop, and I would be me, but it seems like there's this huge campaign to make the entire surface of the planet look like the suburbs. I'll add no more old GOP. MAGA is it. I think that's what a lot of this is. It's trying to break the MAGA coalition so that we can go back to McConnell time, right? Paul Ryan time. That's what they want. We want to go back to Paul Ryan. Anybody remember that shitty debate between Paul Ryan and Biden in 2012? That's what the party looks like if you let this coalition get broken. Don't get captured. Just bought myself a Henry 4570 repeater for Christmas. You'll shoot an eye out. Wanted to try it out, but gonna get a buttstock cover for it first because 4570 on a brass butt plate sounds like a sucky combo. Yeah, I'm a puss. Sue me. Godspeed. You want to talk about freaking kick? I fired my Stutzen model of M95. Oh, the carbine of that gun will just take your entire shoulder and most of your torso off. But it's fun. Kevin Spears, please explain how our liberal judge can stop the Pentagon from demoting Kelly today. How's a judge have more power? They don't, and that's going to be challenged.
Yeah, isn't that a military thing? What does a civilian court have to do with
Yeah, they
it?
have nothing to do with it. Absolutely nothing to do with it. Cunning Druger, the Maple Ma'am sure made her mark. Rest in power, fist emoji. Rest in syrup. Patriarch Andrew, how would any of you respond to the Euro trash who like to brag about their railroads?
We have airplanes. I don't know.
We've got railroads too. What the hell? What? and we built it the same damn way, right? Massive government subsidies and shit. And it was like the most corrupt industry imaginable. By the way, European railroads, very corrupt as well. Go look that up. Anywhere there's freaking public transit or railroads or anything, there's always omnipresent corruption. Always.
I wonder if you can actually cite that as a statistic. They've got more railways. So, by definition, they should have more corruption. Does that just show how corrupt they are?
European countries corrupt? What? Candy Stuffed Corpse. Hey guys, have any of you seen James Garner's Support Your Local Sheriff? I think it's one of the funniest movies of all time. I have not. I've never seen a James Garner Western except maybe Maverick.
I've heard of it. I have never actually seen it.
Sonic Boomers, Super Bowl was a mess. Bad Bunny experienced the rare halftime dip. I did hear that. And that, by the way, that's the tail of the tape, right? We knew bajillions of people were going to watch the Super Bowl because it's the Super Bowl, okay? But the question was, when Kid Rock was on stage for the Turning Point event, and when Bad Bunny was on stage, did Bad Bunny lose viewership? And the answer to that, we now know from the ratings from the minute to minutes, is yes. Almost to the exact moment he took the stage, viewership dipped by millions. All right. AZ could not pronounce my name. Okay. Hail Razor, bit off topic. But do you feel the biblical quote, the weak shall inherit the earth, has been somewhat co-opted by the left? Yes. Or has the potential to be? Yes. I don't know the Bible well enough and thought you'd be better to weigh in. The meek shall inherit the earth is what that says. And what that really is a treatise against pride. And if you think about the entire framework of the left's philosophy, they are prideful enough to believe that they can have heaven here on earth. That is the hypothesis of the communist, of the socialist, that we are entitled to heaven here on earth. Whereas the Christian says, we won't have heaven here on earth. We'll be mocked. We'll be thought a fool. Our opinions on creationism and the young earth and all of the things that are prescribed by the text of the Bible will make us thought of as a fool. And those who are not willing to be thought of as a fool will not be counted among the chosen. So, yeah, that it is co-opted by the left, and it's really an inversion of the actual meaning of the verse. The meek enough to surrender one's life to Christ and to defer your godhood to him. So yeah, it's a misreading of scripture, which is usually, it's kind of like the old judge not. Ever see that meme? Judge not, and then there's a block of text in the Bible and it's all crossed out, and at the bottom it says how the left reads the Bible. Judge not, lest ye be judged. But then there's a bunch of qualifiers they just pretend don't exist. All right. They just, the left have kind of a nebulously kind, huggy Jesus. Richard Slammer, and the second you said only the Republicans can screw this up, the monkey paw just opened another finger. To paraphrase the animated Lord of the Rings, where there's a witness, there's a way. Newest headline from Daily Gondor, noble Gondorian citizen given fresh new life by life-saving Umbaran healthcare sorcery, mysteriously harms aided House of Learning, House of Leering, you mean, by groin gem clutcher. Those never get old. Like a BC school child. I searched no players online on YouTube thinking I was going to see reviews of Highguard. Instead, I got videos on a haunted FPS. Okay. Legacy of Kain Defiance is getting a remake on March 3rd. And a new 2D game Ascendance, March 31st. And also a new Castlevania in the works. The Castlevania, to me, didn't look like Castlevania. It looked like that new Prince of Persia Rogue. That's what it looked like. That new Prince of Persia roguelike.
Yeah, it's very heavily stylized.
Yeah, that didn't appeal to me as a reboot of Castlevania. Add in Styx Blades of Greed and we're all eating good. Ooh, it's coming soon. It's a coming soon. Canada, America with no nuts, or too many in this case. Zachary, hey, Razor, a friend and I were wondering how the clan invasion would have gone if for some reason they invaded through the Capellan Confederation surrounding area instead of Rasselhag. Shit. So the clans have a lot of space commie in them, and the Capellans are space commies. You think they would have brokered a peace and or an alliance and turned on Merrick and Davian and invaded them instead of Karita being the first ones? And of course, all the clan mechs would be named something different in the inner sphere. It'd be some Turkish name or some Davian name or something instead. I bet you the Capellans would have broken bread with the clans.
Oh, they would have
helped invade
immediately.
Dude, totally. Trans kids are a lot like people who claim to have vegan pets. We all know what happened and who called the shots, but no one will call it out. Exactly. Dark Malice. RazörForce could use your prayers. Wife got breast cancer diagnosis today. That is awful. Fortunately, it is now among the most curable cancers. Someone very, very close to me got diagnosed with it, and they're now on the other side of it, completely in remission. I talked about that on social media not that long ago. So it's not the end of the world at all. Just support her as much as humanly possible. Make it as easy as possible for her. Try and facilitate that as much as possible and help her fight this thing as much as you can, because if you caught this early enough, and even if you caught it pretty late in some cases, she's got a fighting chance, bro. Don't give up, okay? And our prayers will be with you. Megan Fox brainwashed her kids as payback on men, right? This is for Jennifer's body being a bomb.
Yeah.
I already read that one, but thank you. Did you see Blizzard's VP call for Doge-style audit of the company's funds and staff? Ooh, it's a good idea. It's a good idea, especially as some of these companies have gotten so bloated over the years, dude.
Big if true.
Yeah. Hank 454, after Trump, will the Republicans have the same problem the Dems had post-Obama with getting votes without a massively popular and charismatic candidate? I think the Democrats are in a worse position because Republicans actually have a little bit of a bench. If nothing else, we have the sort of two-fisted tandem of DeSantis and Vance, either of whom are completely viable. And if DeSantis learns something from the last go-around where he just shit the bed, then even better. So much the better. I hope it's a great primary fight, and I'd be happy to vote for either of them. So I think we're in a much better position than Democrats are, which is one of the reasons for this. That's one of the reasons for this PSYOP right now. What about you guys? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that
And what do you think, in short, happens after Trump rides off into the sunset?
yes, that's the eternal question. I think there definitely will be some people that are less interested, but these weren't people who were really like into politics anyway. Because we know, like when Trump came around, he got a lot of people who normally didn't vote to vote.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I think a lot of these traitors come out of their woodwork and say, Trump was good, but we need somebody who will dial it down a bit.
Turn
And
down the temperature. You can almost hear it. Like
yeah,
already. You can almost hear it. The guys who were just fair weather, who were orbiting him when it was convenient to their careers, those people are going to take their masks off real quick.
we need a more traditional Republican now.
Yeah.
Ugh.
G. Phaser. Daily reminder of Islam and CARE, that's the Center for American Islamic Relations, an organization that Tactical Hobo and I talked about a lot when we were first starting to cover politics back in the day, dude. Way back in the day. We used to talk about CARE all the time. Further infiltrating our country by exploiting our own policies. The things these imams are preaching is absolutely horrifying. I think more horrifying is the soft power that they're accruing through the acquisition of land, right? There are outright Islamic caliphates that now own vast tracts of Arizona farmland, Texas farmland, development land. What are they doing with all of this land? Saudi Arabia owns a huge chunk of our water grid here in Arizona. What is that? That's the stuff that we need to have our eye on. Because that's where you're being sold down the river. I mean, how did Biden... The Biden clan is one of the most corrupt to ever be in politics, and their big thing was selling our utilities to foreign countries. You have to have your eye on the prize on that. What's the take on making Alberta a territory rather than a state if it goes free? I'd be much more amenable to that. What about you guys?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
exactly. That's what I was thinking. I was like, we need to give him probationary status for like a couple decades, right? And then, because that's what, like, when all the states came to be in the West, it was like they were territories first for, maybe a couple decades, and then
Arizona, dude,
became a state. Yeah, Arizona took a while because Arizona was really late. It was the last state in the lower 48, the contiguous U.S., to become a state.
Yep, we were the 48th, and it wasn't even the 20th century until we were finally brought into the Union. It was still the Wild West out here. There were still cowboys and outlaws and all that stuff well into the 20s, 30s, early 40s out here, even after we became a state.
Whenever you have a question like this, if you ever ask yourself this, just ask yourself, would I want people in Puerto Rico to vote?
Good point and well made. Marine, Washington State wants to ban 3D printing, and I was at a city hall meeting where protesters gave a public comment. They were 3D printing whistles. That's genius. Couldn't pronounce my name. Saw something on Instagram where a guy was furious as his son was transported to a protest as part of an anti-ICE walkout. The son was not told where they were going beforehand. Dude, I can completely believe that. How many of these leftist protests during the Summer of Love, even, where people just bust in? During the Summer of Love, in fact, there was a student component to it. You guys remember? And there was, I forget if it was O'Keefe, like Project Veritas or who interviewed actual protesters who were out on the street during the Summer of Love. And it was like, yeah, I just wanted to get off school. Like they gave us special credit and shit. Like this is something they do. This is something they do. They did it during the Red for Ed. It's been a recurrent tactic. So teachers and students are going to do a walkout. Let them. It'll be a chance for parents who need to homeschool their children and work off the pounds with a game of dodgeball. I didn't really put that question to you guys. Do you think the falling number of actual enrollments and the soaring number of administrators and teachers, do you think homeschooling is a major factor in that? Or is it something else?
Yeah, I think that's got something to do with it. Like, I know several people who started homeschooling their kids, and it seemed like it started around the time when, like, just after COVID was going on, right? With all that crap and, like, vaccines being pushed. I know that a couple people that, like, pull their kids out because of that. And yeah, it's just homeschooling is definitely taking off. But here's the thing that really sucks is if you send your kids to private school or you homeschool, I'm pretty sure you still have to pay property tax, right? So that's most property tax mostly goes to schools. And yet, even if you don't take advantage of those services, you still have to pay the damn tax, which is not right. We need to get rid of that.
Yeah. Quiet Rioter. Hey, I find that offensive. You don't need to look at the Dallas highways to see how our city can't run well. We elected Jasmine Crockett, for God's sake. Indeed. Okay. Scott Jennings says House has passed the SAVE Act. Guy in a nice uniform. Illegals, go home and be a family man. We are Charlie Nash. Hey, Razor, if you ever want to talk about welfare, just talk about Puerto Rico. We are the welfare state with all its excesses. Yeah, and we all remember how it weathered that hurricane a while back. Here in Charlotte, it's always affluent whites protesting. Watch out for SRA, Socialist Rifle Association. Yeah, or out here in Arizona, the John Brown Gun Club. Topside Crisis, several mass shooters have belonged to the John Brown Gun Club, by the way. Dude was trying to say, pull y'all up, wasn't he? What? Pull y'all up. There we are. Six-pack airsoft team. Hey, Razor, I've been going deep into classical history, and I keep seeing that most of the individuals that have been venerated today have actually been more of a problem. Do you know this extends to Frederick Douglass? No, actually, Frederick Douglass kind of called out Lincoln on a lot of his bullshit. Frederick Douglass is one of the primary sources that we have for the depths of Abraham Lincoln's corruption. There were parts of my Abraham Lincoln video that I cut out just because it was running long, where Frederick Douglass kept saying, Abraham Lincoln, stop, shut your mouth. Like, you're just a complete liar. And they had, I guess, a correspondence, and the accepted narrative of sort of the YouTube armchair historian today is the association between Frederick Douglass, the correspondence between Frederick Douglass and Abraham Lincoln made him see the light. And he suddenly didn't want to ship all the black people off to Liberia and blah, blah, blah. Which, if it happened, it would have had to happen within 3 days of his death, because that's when Frederick Douglass claims he had the conversation with Lincoln where he literally said, yeah, we're all going to ship you out. It's no big deal. They're just lying. They basically created a fake version of Abraham Lincoln and a fake version of Frederick Douglass to prop up the fake version of Abraham Lincoln. Many such cases. Kind of like Rosa Parks. We talked about her a week or two ago. I can think of one reason the classrooms are shrinking. No one's having kids. There's a good example, although illegals certainly are. Those teachers' unions protect teachers who sleep with students, by the way. They sure do. They sure do. School choice win. Indeed. Some states already do have it. Tyler W., it seems like Bondi or DOJ and FBI are trying to cover up Epstein stuff. I wouldn't necessarily go that far. The D's will frame and impeach DJT for the cover-up like Nixon if they win in November. I have no doubt that if they win, especially a supermajority somewhere, they will absolutely impeach. They're drafting some of the articles of impeachment now, just in case they're able to cheat hard enough to win back the House. Pissed off, passionate gamer. It was horrible enough having one crazy teacher wasting my precious time trying to indoctrinate me to be a commie. Now all these teachers are doing it. Yeah, it's crazy. I think back to my high school experience, and yeah, you had a lib teacher here and there. But man, my senior year of high school, I remember in particular, most of my teachers were Christian. And I was in public school. Most of them were Christian. A good number of them were Republicans and Christian. Granted, I'm in Phoenix. It's not whatever the media tells you. It's still not a very left-wing place. So that could be a little bit of an outlier. But did you guys have demonstrably different experiences?
Not really. I remember it was actually, I think it was pretty well balanced, to be honest. So, when I hear how it's like now, I'm like, what the hell happened in the last 20 years or so?
Yeah, I've had the same experience.
Yeah, I had a pretty good balance. You'd run into a lib here and there. I remember once I made a gay joke. I forget what it even was in my theater class, and the assistant teacher in the theater class freaking. I took it as an elective, by the way. I was not a theater kid. I only took it one semester. And the assistant teacher just melted down at me. Like I got dressed down over the gay joke. How dare you? And he had a lisp. I'm sure that was completely coincidental. Adam Holtz. I think France is getting ready to allow illegals to vote in municipal elections. They're going to have to. They're pretty much the only people left in some of their cities. Have you seen the sheriff of Mecklenburg County testify before the state house? Incredible. I didn't. I need to watch that. How do people blackpill when the left is so desperate they have to resort to blatant subversion and a desperate grab to win before it's too late? Again, I think another big facilitator of the white pill is the old adage that I always repeat. Don't listen to what people say. Watch what they do. Democrats are not acting like they're in the driver's seat. Dems will never win again if this becomes law. Godspeed. Thank you, Ironclad. I can see the SAVE Act jumping up and down like Bart Simpson. I passed. I kissed a Democrat. Ugh! Right? For a non-American, how does the SAVE Act affect the midterms, if at all? Does it go into effect before the midterms? That's the real question. That's the real question for me. What about you guys?
Yeah, I don't know when it goes into effect. But
and do you think it has a significant effect on elections when it is passed?
Oh man, like I don't see how it couldn't, especially with all the deportations and like self-deporting that's been going on.
Yeah,
absolutely. I think it does make a difference. Who was it that said there are no blue states, only states where they don't check for ID?
Yeah, I would go one further. There are no blue states. There are blue cities that run the state, kind of, and that's state electoral college would address that. Hammer of subtlety. Election security is my #1 pet issue, so I'm happy for the SAVE Act. I voted for this. Fix election fraud, and the rest will follow. Yeah, if this goes through, this is a huge, huge campaign promise fulfilled by Trump. Maybe #1, #2, somewhere in that range. Promise fulfilled. Christian Thurber, thoughts on the SAVE Act effects on midterms and federal elections? Well, we just talked about that, but I guess if I could venture an opinion, I don't see how it would fail to have an effect. If it winds up going into effect before midterms, and I would definitely see courts kicking it around, trying to delay it. That would be my prediction, is that probably courts will try to prevent it from going through before midterms. They will slam the brakes and try and hold it up so they can keep that fraud apparatus in place. What about you guys?
Absolutely, man. It's always the damn courts that are doing this. Fortunately, we do have the Supreme Court, though, and I think they would side with Trump on this. It might just take a while.
Cure for TDS. Evidently, head trauma. See Uncle Fester, right? Thoughts on Iron Lung, game or movie or both? I don't know what you're talking about.
Independent movie released recently that surprisingly did very well for having almost no budget.
Slain Hope, the GOP has a Democrat insurgent problem. People embedded in the Republican Party a long time ago when they couldn't get elected in red states. That's really what's happening in Arizona, is basically the modern Republican Party is not really a Republican Party, or at least a lot of them aren't. K-Boy, on the upside, at least he's not Vivek Ramaswamy, right? The amount of systemic anti-white straight male oppression is something we're not allowed to talk about in Canada. Look at the UK. We are next. Yeah, I remember talking to somebody who lived in Canada, and we were talking about gender issues and trans issues or something, and they were just so uncomfortable even talking about it. Because they probably could have legitimately gotten in trouble over that conversation, whether with their job or work or school, whatever, right? Motorlicious catching up at 2X. The Canadian gun person looks like Brendan Fraser from Airhead. What an insult to Brendan Fraser, bro. What did he ever do to you?
I can't believe they're making a Mummy 4.
I know. Jonathan93 MAGA, with the SAVE Act now passed, did you see the video Crowder made about deporting most, if not all, illegals, initiating voter ID? How our election map will look more like Nixon 72 and Reagan 84. Godspeed. No, I haven't, but I need to go check that out. The TF2, but again, the thing that I would caution is, man, the courts are going to tie this damn law up. They really, really are. They're going to go full court press. Democrats are nothing if not litigious. The TF2 demo man is the new Silent Hill protag. Black Scottish protag. Give him a scrumpy, an eye patch, and maybe I'll be interested. Laughs an Islander. Oops, sorry. There we go. There we go. Scott Fisher. Many of the conservapod bros are infiltrators for the Dems. Yeah, or they're former, what do they used to call themselves? Radical moderates, right? They're not really right of center in terms of their actual philosophy. But I think it's really a question of not understanding realpolitik in most cases, at least in the cases where the person isn't just being disingenuous or a flat out infiltrator. And I think there's also an element who are just being shepherded by engagement. Because I've said this many times. If you're an outside power who wants to subvert MAGA, is it more cost effective to pay off some influencer a bunch of money, millions of dollars, or give them a bunch of sweetheart deals or whatever? Or is it way cheaper to just pay for a few cheap bot farms to give them a bunch of engagement when they subvert Trump or counter signal him? Way cheaper the other way. I think that's more what's happening. And the people who are all about validation, attention, boosting their brand, their own career, the people in short who never had a philosophy, they just had their career and themselves and their own selfish BS, those people are really being taken to the cleaners with that. And I don't think it's going to age well. It didn't age well after 2020. It didn't age well after 2022. And I took a lot of the same shit for my takes during those eras that I'm taking for some of my takes now. How did it end up? What happened in 2024? Bet against me at your peril, guys. Is that Scotsman also a Cyclops? De Groot Hill. The villain is, of course, Marasmus. Sorry, you were going to say something, Taryn?
I just wanted to ask you about these influencers. Tell me, how many of these have you heard of? Brand new ones have popping up in the past 5-6 years.
Yeah. Well, one just went down for the count. Elijah Schaefer really got boosted in the last year and a half.
No, I want to ask. I was in the center, you see. I was a centrist, but the left left me behind.
Yep.
Now let's talk about stronger gun control.
Yep.
No, really, I'm one of you now.
Right.
How many times
you get those takes from Dave Rubin sometimes, or somebody like that who Dave Rubin literally used to be a Democrat or something.
Yeah, let's talk about gay marriage.
Well, shit.
I'm center right.
The poster child for this would be who? Candace Owens. She's a flat out leftist black identitarian. And now she's a black identitarian. I mean, it's the same thing. It's just she's just focusing her identitarianism at a different antagonist. Holy crap, Reed looted. Did Epic Games just make a game where black people steal stuff? Hey, dude, we never streamed Black Lives Matter, the game. We should have done that. I've had it on my computer since 2021 or something.
What the hell is the Black Lives Matter game? I have to know about this.
It's hilarious. It's hilarious. It's like a glorified Flash game, but it's hilarious. Marushi and Dark, have you seen the AI music video Put Him in a Box with Asman and Hassan in an anime battle? It's metal as fuck. Lots of culture war Easter eggs. Godspeed. No, I have not. Should we do the Hassan Piker is a retard minute? Speaking of which,
I think it's about that time.
Is it, ladies and gentlemen?
When you press a button, something awesome has to happen.
Christ, what are you doing? You're being such a baby.
It's the Hassan Piker is a retard minute. What's going on this week, Taryn?
So apparently, Hassan has been doing the rounds, doing various interviews, quite a few of them actually. New York Times, podcasts, what have you. His recent one, he is directly said, I'm not going to vote if, somebody like Gavin Newsom runs. I'm not going to vote for them. They're just ineffective. They don't represent me. They're just not getting things done. And
in short, he had a marginally less insane take. So the left are absolutely melting down at him, actually. This is more the left are a retard minute. Interesting. Let's see this. This is a rare role reversal, guys. And somebody's strapping the electrodes to Hassan's nipples now.
And I do apologize to our audience. You are going to have to put up with Destiny for a while.
You may want to break out your English to meth head dictionary real quick.
There is no singular force in this country that is capable of making or breaking an election. And if that was real...
You can also tell how much he knows he's full of shit. This is why people like Hassan are not just stupid, but they're fucking evil, right? He knows he's full of shit because notice how he's bouncing between so many different styles of defense, right? So first, she's done things that are just horrible things that can make him never support. But also, his support would matter anyway.
Can you pause? How much junk is in this guy's system?
That was actually on me. I had it on 1.25.
Okay, I was gonna say, jeez. Okay. I was gonna say.
I mean, I can make it worse.
But also, his support would matter anyway. One thing wouldn't change the outcome anyway. Right? These are different types of.
Sorry.
I didn't even notice a difference. What the hell?
He knows he's full of shit because notice how he's bouncing between so many different styles of defense, right?
Somebody's
so first,
bouncing.
She's done things that are just horrible things that could make him never support her. But also, his support would matter anyway. One thing, and one thing wouldn't change the outcome anyway, right? These are different types of arguments that mean dramatically different things. If you're saying that because you wouldn't venture or you wouldn't offer up both these explanations together, right? Like if somebody were to say like, hey, did you pick your mom up from bingo last night?
What's he talking about?
I don't like when mom gambles. I really didn't want to pick her up. And it's like, are you serious? And you have imagine arguing for like 30 minutes with this person. And then eventually like, also, I don't have a driver's license. I can't even drive. I don't know why you want me to pick her up. And it's like, why the fuck did you just say that?
That's on normal speed, by the way.
Yeah.
That's on normal speed.
Yep. That's normal.
This guy is rolling on Adderall so freaking hard. It's retarded. But sorry. His argument is just all over the place.
No, that's Destiny these days.
Incoherent.
I've seen a few clips. He likes to take things out of context. He makes these huge, awful things. Like somebody will criticize the specifically Asmongold. He'll point out that Destiny's son is kind of like going really weird and out there and saying some really harsh shit, and that maybe Destiny should raise his son better. So Destiny goes hard at Asmongold because his mom is dead. Hey, your mom is dead.
Hey, your mom is dead. Right.
Me making fun of your mom and you and your mom being dead. Like, that's equal to you criticizing me about my son. Like,
and this guy's
false
launched,
equivalency.
This guy's launched how many of these lefty reply guys, these Leninist reply guys, Vosh, and when was the last time you heard about Vosh?
Oh,
he freaking went away after the horse porn thing. But Destiny, wasn't there an incident where like something with like his divorce or something, and he freaking showed up at court recording his wife, his ex-wife, like harassing her?
About that.
Just insane. Anyway, continue.
The first time. Why the fuck would you? That's a totally different type of thing. Like why would you offer up, for Hassan to say, well, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. Fine, then give that as your answer. But why would you also justify it so that even if it did matter, you would still not vote for her? When people start to bounce between a lot of explanations for a thing where the multiple explanations are
like what you're doing,
like not mutually exclusive, but like one would be oh fuck, what's the term I'm looking for this?
Bro, pause.
Overdetermined.
If we're saying Hassan bounced between two arguments, he bounced between maybe two max. This dude's on like 5 or 6. Destiny's like, you can't bounce between multiple arguments and constantly be changing the subject. That's my job, asshole. The shit. Oh my god!
Like, why would you bounce from one answer to the next? It doesn't make any sense unless you're in like a legal filing and you should make like 3 or 4 or 5 different answers in case the judge shoots the first one down or whatever. So stupid.
Yeah, I imagine you know
the
all
most
about
idiotic
that.
thing not to listen.
So Hassan says something not completely barkingly insane, which is, "Hey, Newsom's a freaking retard. Look at California. Like, I'd just go third party because it wouldn't even get me what I want." Plus, he's a commie, right? So Hassan Piker, from his perspective, unless he can vote for Vladimir Lenin, it's not going to check any items off his wish list, right? Well, how are you guys reading this, listening to this nonsense?
Destiny's wife bounced between way more than 2.
Oh, well done.
Yeah.
RazörForce comes through yet again. I don't understand that at all. I don't understand that at all. But this is what we're talking about here. This is the lockstep of the left, the forcible lockstep of the left. When you go off the reservation, you can bet all of the party hackmen will go after you. You're guaranteed that they'll go after you. When the right do something like this, it's stop the infighting. Every time, right? The left don't play any of that shit. None of it, homie. Do not play that. Ridiculous. All right, let's see here. The elephant in the room is body-altering chemicals administered to minors going through puberty and potentially causing brain damage. I think we just watched some brain damage. Doc Holliday, when crows recognize patterns, they're called intelligent. When I recognize patterns, I'm called a transphobe. I wonder if they're trying to make the titular town of Silent Hill more of an amorphous thing that appears in random parts of the world. It seems that way, and that's a really dumb way to go creatively. Especially because Silent Hill F just didn't look that good. I don't think that's the direction to go. On the Epstein files, do you know of a single pimp in all the world who would be dumb enough to actually keep a client list? Would he want anything that could be used to incriminate his customers? Yeah, this must be said. And this is how you know there's an insincere element. When people will say the thing, well, if Epstein didn't do anything, then who's Ghislaine Maxwell in prison for trafficking to? Did you read the legal filings? She trafficked to Epstein. That's the guy she trafficked to. Epstein was the guy who diffused, I guess, all of those people down to them, or at least that's what the legal filing says. Do you guys see the announcement for the new 2D God of War prequel? Fart.
Not going to find many God of War fans here in this room.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about... I never cared about God of War. Not on PS2, not on PS3, not on anything. Sega Saturn had multiple CPU cores in the 90s. Was ahead of its time. It was technically ahead of its time. Razor, if you love GoldenEye and Perfect Dark, you'd probably adore Time Splitters 1 and 2, made by Free Radical, the team behind both. Godspeed. Thank you. Do you guys think we'll get more remakes of the other Fatal Frame games since 2 is coming out next month? Let's hope. It's always good to have survival horror stuff that's not Silent Hill or Resident Evil.
Yeah, true.
Reaper Grimm, Silent Hill devs. Valve was able to do a Black Scotsman. We can too, everyone. No, you can't. That's different, and you know it. ICE had a tough job in Minnesota with the organized insurgency supported by Democrats. I'm disappointed with the withdrawal. Looks like a retreat. We didn't get a mass deportation in Minnesota. Well, that was a directed deportation. Their work was basically already done. Like they had already deported the people they set out to deport. Wade Safechuck and the Wandering Neverland Band. I remember my first train ride. Oh, dear.
Sure you do.
I personally think we're going through a time where a lot of things are being reconsidered, and it looks increasingly to me that government involvement in things is one of them. Exactly, which is why it's an opportunity to talk about things like a state electoral college, like neutering the power of the Supreme Court, like, more checks and balances and such. We have an opportunity here, and we're squandering some of it. In Silent Hill 4, I thought Hispanic Sadako was revolutionary. Speaking of Silent Hill 4, Here's an unpopular opinion. I wish Walter Sullivan was the protagonist. Let's see here. Jack White. Barnes has pointed out repeatedly that Congress should impeach a bunch of federal judges, Bossberg being one of them. And according to him, the standard for impeachment is bad behavior. Continuing, he also advocated for getting rid of certain federal districts like the District of Columbia and the Southern District of New York. Which of these do you think is more doable? Trump has shown more willingness to push on issues of the District of Columbia. So I would think that would be the good front line, especially because if you're able to do it there, you can kind of do it anywhere. That would be my vote. All right. Why are people falsely proclaiming Massey voted against the SAVE Act? There's plenty to criticize without making stuff up. I agree. Give him credit when he votes your way. Yes, he grandstanded. Yes, he was a little cringe while he did it. We can criticize him voting against the rule earlier, like taking exception, because if another person had crossed the aisle and voted with him, it would have killed the bill right then and there, and we wouldn't have a SAVE Act. Like, I think that's a legitimate criticism, but that happened a while ago. Like, why would you do that? Why would you criticize him for that ex post facto? In the here, in the now, Thomas Massey put on his big boy pants and voted for the SAVE Act. He gets an unqualified kudos from me. All right. What about you guys? You guys have any thoughts on that?
No, I agree. When people do the right thing, give them credit where credit's due, you know?
True.
Mercenary X. So apparently James Hetfield from Metallica liked one of my tweets where you were talking about what Raphael would listen to in terms of music. I felt good. What?
There's like a million things.
Yeah, it could be a fake James Hetfield.
I don't think he even has a personal social media.
Yeah, he's kind of a boomer on that. He's too busy freaking shopping, apparently. Jack White, and thoughts on Trump pulling ICE out of Minnesota, victory or loss? I kind of replied to that earlier. It seemed like the specific operation they wanted to do was already over, and the demonstrations had already started. So had already stopped rather by the time they withdrew. So it doesn't, to me, optically look like the left ran them out of town.
And honestly, somebody during our last arcade said it best.
What's that?
When you conquer an area,
you move on.
Yeah. You move on. They gave us access to the jails.
Yeah.
We're only removing 700 agents. There's still people there.
Yep.
You leave a contingent. You leave a contingent of men there, and then you move on.
And with the strategy that they're clearly pursuing, which is the one that I recommended all the way back in 2016, that works. You only need a contingent. The strategy, of course, is the Operation Wetback strategy. You make surgical kind of deportations. You make sure that the media knows about them. You make sure that they're very public. And then in each and every one of those areas, what that does, ideally, is it spawns lots and lots of self-deportations. Because if the U.S. government right now and Tom Homan wanted to deport every single illegal alien in America, they would not have the logistical power to do it. They couldn't do it. You need Mexicans to self-deport. You have to. This is not possible without that. So this is really the only viable strategy. So leaving behind a contingent makes sense. All you needed was a contingent to begin with. CTC in Old Man Boys. Back in my day, DLCs were actually worth their nickel and games were finished. No day one patches needed. Godspeed. Jack White, I think the way to fix issues with cities going forward is to grant the president a very special but very specific power, and that power would be to send in federal law enforcement to clear out crime and corruption in those cities. I'm not sure I'm in accord with that. Federal police force is what the left wanted a long time ago. And guys, Republicans are not going to win every election, nor is every Republican going to be a Republican you want in office. I don't like the idea of the federal government having that power, personally. Hugh Hefner walked so Jeffrey could run. Ah, yes.
Oh, God.
All right. Jack White, but only for situations like Baltimore and Chicago that have had uninterrupted one-party rule for decades, and that one party. See, that's too many qualifications. And how do you even ensure that legally? Primarch Vulcan, were you ever a fan of the Gauntlet series of games? Yes. Last one I played was Dark Legacy on the PS2. When was the last time we even got a legit new one? We got one on the PS4, and it was great. It was really
that was
good.
really good.
We streamed
it's on PC too, I believe.
Yeah, great game. Emperor Creatine, Dino Crisis 1 and 2 are out on Steam now for $5. Nice. Oops. Snex, Terran, there's got to be a better way to scratch your eye. That thing could go off. Massey's grandstand on kill switches sure aged well. I started replaying Shinji Mikami's God Hand. It's sad we'll never get another game with build your own combo mechanics. Godspeed. Yeah,
People swear by that game.
Wrestling games with Create a Wrestler will some of them, I can't remember which ones, allowed you to build your own combos. So it wasn't the only game to do it. Derp Fox Gaming. You hear about forensics in Seattle, Washington, looking into Cobain's death and now switching the ruling into not self-inflicted unaliving. Pulls a Razor FU. I was right. Bro, I read that article. That shit is going to get laughed out of court. It was the least persuasive article I think I've ever read. Look, there's been a number of times when there's been some like independent expert who has said, I think it's this and I think it's that. There's been this one private detective who's been involved, right? There's a documentary called Soaked in Bleach. Oh, the biggest bubbling piece of shit I've ever seen in my life. Just not freaking factual at all. And a lot of this article was based on that. That guy's a complete clown who keeps trying to sell books. And it was originally reported by, was it Daily Mail? Daily Mail and Radar Online, man, they accepted pay from Wade Robson and James Safechuck, speaking of Michael Jackson earlier, to plant those bullshit stories about the stuff that was recovered from Neverland Ranch, and it turned out to be fake. I talked about it in my Michael Jackson rebuttal. The pictures of the kids and the princess outfits and all that weird porn that supposedly was recovered. Yeah, it was all bullshit. It was all lies. In fact, most of the pictures there were from stuff that didn't even exist. It was books that were printed after the Neverland raid. So it's impossible for Michael Jackson to have had them. That's the Daily Mail, guys. That's Radar Online. They accept pay from PR firms to put these stories out there. I put me down pretty firmly on the I am very skeptical until I see extremely compelling proof. And that article was not compelling. P.S. Support your idea for a state-level electoral college to limit the damage bad city policies can do to the rest of your state. All right, Professor Bathrow. Family's about to wrap up DS9. Is Voyager worth watching, or should we look elsewhere for our weekly fix of old good TV? Oh, man.
Go to Enterprise.
Voyager is such a mixed bag. There's good episodes, really good episodes. And then there's real bad ones. That was maybe the most mixed bag of them all. Voyager was.
Agreed.
Incredibly.
I would say it's worth a watch at least. I mean, it's,
yeah,
compared
absolutely.
to like the new stuff that's like Starfleet Academy, man. Yeah, you can.
I'd rather watch Voyager than Starfleet Academy any day.
Yeah. Voyager was mostly good, but it is a mixed bag.
If you want a show that hit a stride at a certain point, in the same way a Star Trek show that hit a stride at a certain point, and kind of maintain that over a long period with longer arcs, the final 2 seasons of Enterprise are where you're going to find that. I love the last 2 seasons of Enterprise. I think it's the only 2 seasons that I kind of put on that DS9 level a little bit. I loved that show. That was appointment TV for me back in the day. So, and I've learned to love the really early stuff, season 1 and 2. It's fun for what it is, but man, 3 and 4 really got good. But yeah, give Voyager a whirl. If it doesn't work for you, maybe jump over to Enterprise.
Like, I think it's good, but when you compare it up to like DS9, man, it's you can't even compare it, you know.
Or hey, another excellent space station show, Babylon 5. It just got put up for free on YouTube. The whole thing.
Really?
They're going to be airing it like one a week or something, like uploading one a week. So it'll be like following the show in real time. So if you've never watched Babylon 5 before, what's wrong with you? Watch it. Go subscribe to that channel on YouTube and watch Babylon 5 along with us, because I'll certainly be watching. I'm sure this won't accelerate Alberta's exit any. Love how the people who voted for the bag tax that cost poor households $78 a year are now crying over $50 for a copy of their lost birth certificate. No shit. And not only that, but you don't need a birth certificate. You can use something else. Ultra Knight, these people don't know anything about immigration. They'll complain about the system being broken, then want amnesty for people who disregard our laws to get here. They'd want administrative efficiency, if so. Too many abbreviations in that super chat, but thank you. Sheep Herder, been celebrating Black History Month by watching African Air Force compilations while sipping on grape Powerade. How you boys celebrating? Ooh, I have my thing. Talk amongst yourselves, guys. I'm going to go grab something. How are you celebrating, guys?
I'm curious what the hell African Air Force is. Look that up.
African Air Force complications.
I'm sure it's
great power.
I have a little thing from Taryn Gell here. I have a little lean drink, a little grape lean drink right here.
Lean is just lean.
Relax, guys. It's an energy drink. It's not actually drugs. I'll probably sound like Destiny for a couple.
Oh, are you on the energy drinks now, Razor?
No, it's got caffeine in it. So yeah, it is.
It's just a caffeinated drink.
Purple drink.
Papa drank. Jake's Dino God was at my local gun store yesterday, and they had two M1 Garands, a 1903 Springfield, and best yet, a Winchester 1897, the Slamfire model / trench sweeper. Nice. The war crimes gun. The gun that freaking Germany cried foul on, correct? And said it was a war crime. All right, Scully Bones. Greetings from Alabama. Check out what our governor signed into law today. YouTube won't let me say it. You want to Google that real quick?
Oh.
All right, let's see here. Rock and Roll's Your Mom. Thoughts on band Zayo. Love them. Demon Hunter. Love them. And X-Stol. Love them. I've seen all three of those live, I think, actually. I saw Zayo and X-Stol together out here in Phoenix. And I got shirts from both of those shows. Zayo, I like their early stuff though more, like their first two albums, All Else Failed and Splinter Shards, The Birth of Separation. That's the stuff I really like. Hobo, what about you?
Yeah, I like all three of those bands. I remember the Mexico missions trip, man. It was like you, me, and our other buddy. We were listening to like Zayo the whole time, and you kind of got me into that band actually.
Yeah, dude. I think it was at a Walmart. It was at a Walmart, dude, in San Diego, California, that I picked up Zayo's Liberate de X and Ferris album. Freaking Walmart.
Really?
They had a Zayo album there. Yeah.
Occasionally Walmart would be surprising.
I'm lying. Sorry, I'm lying. It was Best Buy. We went to a Best Buy.
That makes more sense. But occasionally Walmart is surprising. You're like, well, are they carrying this there? You know?
Yeah. A great record. Still a classic to this day.
It's a good one.
Okay, let's see it.
Oh, hold on. I turned off my screen sharing.
It's okay. Give me again, I would really love to see you guys go through the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. Okay, Godspeed. I'd also like to do old school Mega Man, like just Mega Man 1 through 6 kind of thing.
Here we go.
And we'll get to that after the super chat. Reaper Grim, when Turtle McConnell finally shuffles off this mortal coil, will the greater GOP finally stop being Dems who observe the speed limits? No, because there's other Mitch McConnells. But it'll be a step in the right direction. Oh, Governor Ivey signs Child Predator Death Penalty Act into law.
Nice.
Nice. Didn't Trump come out in support of that?
I believe he did.
I believe he did. I believe he did.
For too long, the most vulnerable of our society have lacked the most stringent legal protection from child predators. Through the Child Predator Death Penalty Act, Alabama now joins a handful of states imposing the toughest penalty possible for child predators. Those who target the youngest among us for the vilest crimes will soon be met with the harshest punishment under the law.
Holy shit. Wow. Sponsored by state reps Matt Simpson and state senator April Weaver, strengthens Alabama's criminal penalties against those who are convicted of felony assault crimes against a child. Crimes of first-degree rape, first-degree sodomy, and first-degree sexual assault of victims under the age of 12 would automatically, okay, so this is like full on, would automatically become capital offenses punishable by death. With the signing of the Child Predator Death Penalty Act into law, Alabama has taken a decisive action to ensure that the most horrific offenses committed against minors face the maximum punishment our legal system permits, said Representative Simpson. This law sends a clear message that we will not stand by while young lives are shattered. Holy shit. What a blow to freaking human traffickers at the border, for crying out loud. That's a lot of the trafficking that's going on at the border. How does this affect too the illegal immigration human trafficking? Because that's what a lot of that is. A lot of those kids in cages were being used as meat shields by human traffickers. This is just good across the board.
I wonder how many tweets there have been, unironic ones, that have been saying this specifically targets the LGBTQ community.
Right. Not calling it the Millstone Act is a miss, right? You'd think they'd focus test these things, for crying out loud. They never stopped doing Ultra 64. They've just been doing it slow and quiet until they were ready with a perfection of a product they don't field test. Okay. Thoughts on the announcement of a John Wick game? It makes sense. I honestly, man, I've noticed just licensed video games, like of movies and TV shows and stuff, have not been nearly as frequent as they were in years past. It seems like after around 2012, 13, that kind of stuff, Lost the video game, that kind of stuff stopped being made, at least in large numbers. Some of them are good though. Have you ever played the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance game? It's like Final Fantasy Tactics, but for Dark Crystal.
You told me about that.
It's so good. It's so good. It's ridiculous. It's been removed from a lot of storefronts, but I loved it. Leftists rail against Big Pharma until body-altering chemicals enter the equation. Would not surprise me if they interfered with puberty development and caused brain damage.
The brain damage.
The brain damage. The best part of the Zelensky business was leftoids trying to make weird face memes to mock Vance, only to have it judo flipped and Vance fans embracing the memes and taking them even further for fun. That is another thing. Vance's meme game is on point, bro.
Yeah.
It's on point.
He actually wore the meme for
He did. He wore the meme
Halloween.
wig.
Yeah.
Speaking of Lost, he had the wig like Hugo from Lost. He has made his decree. Let us see him enforce it. All right. A fake quote, though. I believe the real quote from Andrew Jackson to the judge that he disagreed with and defied was, the judge has made his decision, and let us say that I disagree with it. And then he just did what he wanted. Not quite as pithy as now let's see him enforce it. Cray. Vance Tulsi, 28. Thoughts and or criticisms? Godspeed to the three Razor amigos. I like Vance Tulsi as a ticket. What about you guys?
I see it as a possible third pick. I think most people are going for either Vance Rubio.
I don't like Vance Rubio.
Or Vance DeSantis.
And I'm not sure about Vance DeSantis either. It's stronger, though. The reason I'm not so sure about Vance DeSantis is I think DeSantis is a presidential caliber candidate Like he's on the same level as Vance, right? You need to elevate someone, right? The way that Trump is helping to elevate Vance. I mean, I think it's better if you have somebody a little bit lower, right? So that if everything hits the fan, you still have DeSantis waiting in the wings to run or something.
I agree, and from like a pragmatic standpoint, Tulsi being like a woman, that's gonna help. That's just the way it is nowadays,
Yeah, that's true. Jack White, have you guys ever gone through the books, Partners in Power, Clinton Cash, and The Secret Life of Bill Clinton? I read Clinton Cash a while back. Great book. Have either of you?
No.
No, that's a good one. That's a really, really good one. Some of it gets, if I remember correctly, some of that got into his malfeasance in Arkansas. Let's see here, Master Chief. I got rid of my M995 carbine because of that, and it was an internal conversion. I'll hold off until I can find a long rifle 8x50, as there is purchasable ammo now. Yes, there is. We need to change the name of the Super Bowl to the Subpar Bowl. Thank you, comic guy. Thank you, comic book guy. I can't remember which one is better, but watch both Support Your Local Sheriff and Support Your Local Gunslinger. They're the same movie, but the one without Suzanne Plachette is better. Godspeed, bro. Speaking of Clinton Cash, shall we talk about our final story of the day?
Which one did you have in mind? Oh.
Did you know the Winter Olympics are happening? Neither does the rest of this planet. Yeah, I've seen the okay, can somebody explain the two-man luge? Anybody?
No. I couldn't explain the one-man luge.
Thank you. Bro, it is the most ridiculous looking thing I've ever seen in my life. It's literally just one dude laying on another dude's dick, and they call it a sport.
Now, did this happen to come out of Canada by any chance?
Luge, I'm thinking France, which also doesn't surprise me. I'm thinking France. Let me see if I can show you.
Sounds French.
Yeah, it sounds mighty French. Here it is. This is not a sport, guys. This is not a sport. It's one guy sledding and another guy laying on his dick while he does it. That's the two-man luge.
Very interesting.
Interesting is one word for it. It's certainly one word.
I want to see if there's like an Indian team.
Right.
And the two are arguing like the Indian drivers. You've ever heard that? What are you doing? You have to do medium turn. Medium turn. You're going to kill us both.
Here we go, folks. Chelsea Clinton, apparently, according to her, when she was 6 years old, at age 6, left the church because she found out it opposed abortion. It's okay, Chelsea. We all wish you had been aborted. Go ahead and click on that.
Oh, God. Why?
I left the church. She just did it on her own without any support. I just got in my car at 6 years old and drove away from the church and never came back.
Yep.
Chelsea Clinton. Yes. Here we go. And a new interview. Chelsea Clinton, the daughter. Well,
Boomer Gill strikes again.
That's great. That's freaking great. That is peak live stream, guys.
We're just gonna hide this for a second.
That's genius. I want to read a few super chats so you work that out. If Dark Malice is still listening, I've heard from reputable sources that keeping your immune system up helps to fight cancer. I recommend your wife takes zinc and vitamin C supplements. Oh, Godspeed. Yeah. At school, all school is now radicalized by online communities. No accident that started in the late 90s with the rise of the internet. Know any early examples? Know any early examples of school radicalization? I mean, yeah, early-ish. I remember, so my father was a school teacher for decades, music teacher. And during the 2000, it was either 2000 or 2004 election. He was a Bush supporter, and he went and got the bumper sticker on his car, and he came back out to his car, and it had been vandalized. The freaking bumper and the bumper sticker had been vandalized. I forget how. And 1 or 2 days after that happened, he's walking back into the school from the parking lot. You know, the sticker still has been messed with or whatever. He hasn't had a chance to clean it off. And one of the teachers is walking in at the same time and goes, "Huh, see what happened to your bumper sticker there? Oh, that's a real shame." Like, it was obvious the teacher had done it. It was clearly not a student or whatever. Just freaking dude. And that was 2 decades ago or whatever. Absolutely absurd. All right, let's read this.
In a new interview, Chelsea Clinton, the daughter of pro-abortion presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, says she left the Baptist church at the age of 6.
6?
Because
Who's
it has
severe decisions about their faith at 6.
Because it has a strongly pro-life position opposing abortions. Clinton made the comment at a recent fundraiser for Hillary Clinton in an attempt to address evangelicals who question her mother's faith in God. She said she was upset when teachers in a Sunday school class talked about the wrongness of abortion.
Right.
I find it quite insulting sometimes when people say to my mom, my dad, or me that they question our faith, said Chelsea. I was raised in a Methodist church, and I left the Baptist church before my dad did because I didn't know why they were talking to me about abortion when I was 6 in Sunday school.
Could you pause that real quick? Or stop for a moment? Because I want to show something. If you want to talk about Hillary Clinton's faith, let me see if I can find it real quick here. Let me open it up in a different browser, actually. I've got it. Yes, right here, ladies and gentlemen.
Right here, right now.
Yes. Did you just quote Van Halen at me? Did this happen? Terry Dell dropping the rock references. Okay,
that was Van Halen, was it?
Well, partially. All right, there we go. This is Hillary Clinton as a religious person.
Well, over the weekend, Senator Clinton and her campaign took a trip down south, and apparently so did her accent. Listen to this.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from
where
nobody told me that the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. And
oh my God.
Mayors in the country, Mayor Palmer from Trenton, New Jersey.
It's so bad.
Did you bring her hot sauce with her too?
I don't feel no ways tired, Taryn. I don't feel no ways tired.
I'm tired, boss.
Don't put that evil on me, boss. All right. Continue. I love that. She turns into freaking Foghorn Leg Iron.
My mother is very deeply a person of faith.
Mm.
It is deeply
Clearly.
Authentic and real for my mother, just like her accent.
How hilarious is that after watching that video clip?
And it guides so much of her moral compass. Oh, God. The jokes write themselves.
She has a moral compass.
We have to do so little work on this podcast. Oh, man.
I recognize that there were many expressions of faith that I don't agree with and feel are quite antithetical to how I read the Bible. But I find it really challenging when people who are self-professed liberals kind of look askance at my family's history. A New York Post columnist quoted her comments from a Democrat who took notes at the event.
Yeah.
That's something else. Her father was baptized at age 9 at Park Place Baptist Church in Hot Springs,
Right.
Arkansas. He dropped out.
Yeah, you can skip that. That's just backstory.
No, and that's the end of the article.
So come on, who believes at age 6 that she was making any major decisions about? I mean, I think I attended a Luis Palau event and was saved extremely young, like 7, maybe. And my mom gave me the hairy eyeball when I said, yeah, I'd like to he's doing the altar call and everything. And I mean that. And I did. I actually did. Right. So I guess that's a rare case of that. But I can certainly say I wasn't aware of the Christian church's abortion doctrine. I'm pretty sure I didn't even know what abortion was.
I didn't either. I'm pretty sure it's normal to not know what the hell abortion is when you're 6.
Yeah. Let's see how committed you are to your premise. Have the state strap the electrodes on your big fake grin and just end it all right here and now. We'll make a TV movie about it. We'll call it The One That Got Away. Okay? We'll just abort you in the 175th trimester or whatever it is. Shit.
Yeah, not knowing what abortion is, let alone having strong opinions about it at 6.
I know.
Like what?
What is with the consistently from the trans issue to I was born this way? What is with the infantilization of politics on the left? The idea that like, oh, I was a fully formed Marxist in the womb. Like, it's a recurrent element, dude. It really is.
I was pure in these beliefs even when I was young. Back then I knew.
Absolutely. Oh,
it's signal boosting, basically.
There's a Telemundo article about Bad Bunny and his love of body hair, but the article doesn't cover that he loves it on men and women of any age. All right. Christian Thurber, just in, Gondor refuses to enact tariffs on Orthanc. Saruman to keep his tolls in place, saying they are proper and Gondor needs him. Orthanc is perfect and has nothing to do with Uruks by Ring Collector. Barnes is having a meltdown over Massey criticism, so it's just another day in 2026. Raper Grim. Woman seems genuinely interested in me and what I do. Me. You're James O'Keefe, aren't you? This is kind of my default position, actually, in all my interactions with females. Thank you. Saw that Dem registration was up for the midterms. My assumption is it's people switching back after the attempt to subvert the Republican primary. Yeah, I don't know. I'd be much more inclined to believe registration data than I would be polls. But I'd have to see the poll. I'd have to see the registration data myself to be able to really parse it. I wouldn't want to just fly off at the mouth. Could the SAVE Act be the first step to the state electoral college? Ooh, we could hope. I wouldn't think so, though, because it's a federal act. It doesn't give power to the states. So, I don't know. Maybe you could have the federal government mandate something like that, but man, that would still be a bit of an overstep of government power. Leia Wolf the Red, might have missed this, but what's your opinion on ICE being taken out of Minneapolis? I did talk about that. Did Trump cave? And yes, Santa Fe and Albuquerque run New Mexico. No, I don't think he did at all. I really don't. I think they were pretty much done there anyways, and the protests had already stopped. Protests. The AstroTurf bullshit. They had cashed their checks and left town. Oops, sorry. That's the same one. You can't spree shoot when no one is there. Exactly. Do you think the SAVE Act survives the Senate? Yes. Yes, I do. What I worry is it going to survive the courts? Vivek kind of vanished harder than Mark Kelly does. Yeah, Mark Kelly sure went down back into his basement, didn't he? Maybe one of his advisors finally told him, hey, dude, your poll numbers in Arizona. Sean McDonald, that intro to the Piker Riri moment always makes me chuckle. Godspeed, and thank you for joining us, sir. Funny how Jeanette Vorman still wins the game of inches against Destiny, right? Hey, Razor, a little off topic. Would you consider returning to Kingdom Come Deliverance or Tainted Grail for an upcoming arcade stream? Godspeed. I can't imagine why you'd want that full suit of armor avatar guy. But I'd love to. I love both of those games. Or Assassin's Creed 1 if you want another Crusades game. Silent Hill F might be a good horror game, but I'd swallow nails before I call it a Silent Hill game, which its only problem was its location. If black pills demoralize you, it's crucial to note that the left has its own black pills. Shout out to Patrick Casey. Where you get your takes from is very important. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I mean, I don't think Trump happens if a lot of the left don't black pill on a number of issues. It was a divide on the left that opened the door for Trump to happen in 2016. Don't ever forget that. Who's a bigger grandstander, Massey or Paul? Massey by miles. Paul usually comes into the fold. Humans VD, Silent Hill's in Maine and is supernatural with a clear presentation of good and evil. For me, it ended when Heather Mason killed God. Silent Hill F and whatever this new crap they plan on isn't Silent Hill. Correction, it ended with 4. And really, like, I can even go to the wall on Downpour, which I thought was okay, and Homecoming, which I think is an unfairly maligned game. But man, when it stops actually being an American-themed horror game, I think you lose the character of it.
Yeah.
Sargon popped up in my feed talking about how damaging the Epstein files have been for the current British government. According to him, Starmer may not be PM. I'm hearing that. I am hearing that.
Yeah.
Thoughts? Apparently, there was a major official. I remember we talked about it on the last, was it Arcade stream? We went over exactly what was going on. There was a major official. I can't remember exactly who it was in the government, and it's looking like they're going down. Like there's
someone,
it's cut and dry. They were proven. This is not some random tip, mental patient thing.
Someone closely connected to Starmer was mentioned in those emails.
Yeah.
Peter Mandelson, thank you.
Should state electoral colleges be used for Senate seat elections, or should it go back to being election by the legislatures? Here in Arizona, we're pushing to return to choosing senators via the legislature, which can't come soon enough, as far as I'm concerned. I can't believe Arizona's still based enough to actually do something like that, but we're actually pushing it, guys. This might actually happen. What do you think about that, by the way, Hobo?
It's an interesting concept. I know, like, it would make probably people who care about politics would be more inclined to vote, and you wouldn't get like these wishy-washy, like, normie people voting, right? Like, because most people don't even know who their state representative or their state senator is.
Which I would rather those people didn't vote. If you don't know what you're voting on, I would rather you stayed home. It's ridiculous. Whatever happened to incentivizing the informed voter? Massey voted against advancing the bill 215-214. The later margin was not thin, and wouldn't you know it, he voted party line. Later, he and 5 other GOPs voted to shut down tariffs on Canada. So no, fuck him. Well, we can still oppose him on the tariffs issue and say, hey, he at least voted to okay it. We can bash him on the things that he does bad and give him kudos on the things he does good. I think we can walk and chew gum on that. All right, guys? I think that's fair. First time catching this live. Thoughts on the new Stargate series in the works? Oh, Taryn, I know you like Stargate quite a bit, right?
I've only heard that they're working on something. I know nothing actually about it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think actually anybody knows. It just
you worry a little bit.
Production. Kind of like
where it'll be like a Starfleet Academy situation.
Like, how do they do this? A lot of those actors are just too old now.
Yeah. Clayton Machine. We actually used lots of different shotguns in World War I. Winchester 97s, Winchester Model 12s, Remington 11s, and the glorious Stevens 520-30. How I would love to own one, but don't want to pay $2,000 for a pump gun. Who does? Speaking of Clinton, you ever read Christopher Hitchens' book on Bubba Bill, No One Left to Die To? No One Left to Lie To. No, I haven't. No, I know he detested the Clintons. Remember, most of Canada's based war crimes frame comes from indie mercs, expats from other countries, and scapegoating. Canada's never been cool. All right. What do you think about deflating the currency? It has to happen at some point, and it's going to hurt when it does. Those two things are true. Most of the medicine that we have to take is going to taste like shit going down, guys. And that's because of previous generations selling us down the river. Previous and current generations. And this is one of those areas. We are going to have to deflate the currency at some point. And it's going to hurt like a bastard. And because people are such idiots, voters, I mean, are such idiots, they're so ill-informed, all they'll know is, oh, economy's going to shit, my job market sucks, my groceries cost a shitload of money right now. All they're going to know is I'm going to blame the guy in the White House, and they're not going to care. Look what happened to Hoover. You know what I mean? They're not going to care at all. They're ill-informed, and they're going to freak out about it. But it's a medicine that we have to take at a certain point. Sorry, that's school scooter, if you know what I mean. Godspeed. Have you seen the clip from the 2007 Winter Olympics? French speed skier takes a pole to the groin at 60 mph.
Oh, my God.
Genius. Thoughts on resolving student loan? You should find that, by the way, and we should watch it. Thoughts on resolving student loan debt by selling the debt to collections agencies to clear the federal government's books. Viable or no shot? So I guess what you're saying is to wipe out Biden's goofy school loan debt forgiveness idea by giving it to private debt collection agencies. I mean, it should be private to begin with. The school loans thing is just, the government just needs to get out of the business of universities, period. Because if they aren't offering enough of a service to stand on their own 2 feet, then what the hell are we even subsidizing? Like, I think you address most of the problem just by getting the government the hell out of that and the subsidies the hell out of it. They're a basket of deplorables, Arthur. No Dutch. I don't feel in no ways tired. Canceled. I have a joke. Hillary Clinton having a moral compass. Don't get it? Exactly. Razor, how dare you? We all know Hillary Clinton is Moloch's greatest worshiper. Sorry, had to edit. Godspeed. They want communism to take the place of God. Also, the reason why they believe the narrative that Satan was actually a force of good, in the vein of Madame Blavatsky. All right. Thoughts on MGS4 coming to PC? No surprise there. Also, DOA's return. I'm a little more iffy on. I'm a little more iffy on that because Itagaki is pest, right? And we've never had a DOA that didn't have something to do with him. So I'm not sure how that's going to turn out. I like DOA though. When it's good, it's really good. That one on the 360, I forget what it was, DOA 4 or 5. I can't remember which it was. It was really good. I played it a lot. I really love that game, bro. Did you, Taryn, did you find the video?
So I found a couple of injuries. Could you repeat it?
It was a figure skater taking a pole to the dick.
A figure skater.
Uh-huh.
You're gonna have to give me a bit longer to find this.
Yeah.
Don't you hate how YouTube, it's so hard to find like exactly what you want, even though it's on there and the keywords just don't work.
Trick, you know what the trick is, right? You do a video search on Google or Bing or wherever instead. And then the video search isn't censored. So that Hillary Clinton clip, I looked on YouTube first and couldn't find it. Maybe I typed in the wrong thing, but I jumped on Bing and typed in the exact same thing. Boom, it popped right up.
Nice.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Nothing?
I'm trying.
All right,
man.
guys. Well, whatever. That is the end. Unless, of course, we have some Rumble stuff. Unless we have Rumble rants.
Oh, Rumble rants.
Dookie
Killzier. Killzier says, great that it passed the House, but I am not that optimistic about the SAVE Act passing the Senate with a filibuster being declared.
Being a possibility, yeah. being a I'm more optimistic actually about it passing the Senate than I would be about the House, because the House skews more Democratic. So I'm not sure I would actually agree with that. Let's see if there's anyone on Streamlabs real quick, just to make sure before we bounce.
This video was from 11 years ago. Thank you to whoever tried to link that to me on Discord.
Sweet. Is it the correct one?
I mean, it's from 11 years ago. It's not current. See, I was looking for current shit.
Just in the north.
No, they said it was from 07.
Oh, okay. So
Just in the north sent us a super chat right at the beginning of the stream. I'm blackpilling hard up here in Canada. I really don't know what to do at this point. Advice, Mr. Fist? Since we know blackpilling is not the way. Fortunately, you do have individual provinces in Canada, so individual provinces can be a little bit more conservative. Maybe if you're in a more liberal one, you can move to a more conservative one and maybe have a little bit more of a voice and have a little bit more liberty. You know, that's always a possibility, but the black pill is not the way.
Let's see.
Crossfire. Sorry. Crossfire. Hot take of the night. If a person is unable to pronounce the words sir or ask in proper English, they should be barred from all political office and ejected from society. Irritable Sloth. If a meteorite falls from the sky and wipes out China, how many of our problems go away? Do you think the people of China are radical as their leaders or like hostage citizens? Some of them have been... I think they're, for the most part, normal people trying to live their normal lives. And they have to say the shibboleths in order to not be sent off to a gulag. Some of them are more or less inculcated into the propaganda, but I don't think you have many actual Mao's red book waving communists in China. Maybe not even within the CCP, in my experience. And I know quite a few Chinese people, actually. Like Irritable Sloth again. Just where in the hell does China get this much money to finance propaganda in every country if their own economy is as bad as you say it is? It's not that their economy is bad. It's that their economy is broken, and they're currently experiencing a lot of drama on that front. Hence the factory protests that apparently are still ongoing, by the way. You know, they've decided to make themselves the factory of the world. And that model is beginning to break down for them for a number of reasons. And a lot of that has to do with tariffs, too. Tariffs are applying a lot of pressure in that regard. Trace your frenzy. With SAVE Act, I'm hearing it will all die in the Senate as it was used to only pass a spending vote. Okay. Raja, I picked up the original Houdini scrapbook by Walter B. Gibson. Nice. It looks like it has a bunch of fascinating info in it. It does. Yeah, Walter B. Gibson knew of what he spake, and he was on a first-name basis with Harry Houdini. So you're getting a really, really well-written account of the sort of tricks and secrets of Harry Houdini, but you're getting it from the author of The Shadow, so you know he knows how to write. And he's a magician himself. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Shall we watch this?
Yeah. Do you want to do it after we read Rumble Rants or right now?